Hey everyone, welcome to the Wednesday live stream. Sorry I missed it last week. Had kind of a family emergency and just got too busy and couldn't help it. So I know that looks bad of like, you should stay on Sundays. You missed the second Wednesday, but that could have happened on a Sunday too. So today we're talking about automating growth for your fish. Now, we're going to focus mostly on what I consider the average Aquarius and not so much like a fish breeder, where we might be talking about more advanced feeding methods. We might be talking about auto water changing and things like that. So, mostly the biggest thing you can do to affect the growth of your fish is going to be feeding higher quality foods, feeding more often. And to automate that, I like using an auto feeder. Now, I've been doing that for probably 15 years. I've been keeping fish for about 20. And at some point, you go on your first vacation, you might get a feeder. And then you realize, hey, that's kind of nice having that feed every day. And you can set them to feed a bunch of times a day, but after playing with it, I always settle back at just once. Feed it one time a day because I still want to interact with the fish. I still want to feed them, and I don't want to feed them just the same food all the time. And so there's been some techniques and things that I've learned over the years, and one of them is the tape trick, and I'm going to show you it. So you take a feeder. This one's Aquariumcoop one, but Eheim is another one I like quite a bit. Most of the other ones I'm not huge fans of, but get yourself a quality feeder. And then some tape. Now today I'm going to use this blue painter's tape because it'll be easy to see on camera, but a lot of times in the fish room, I'll actually use Scotch tape. And I'm actually using more of the blue painter's tape in the fish room so that way people can see it on video, just so that it might look a little bit worse for me, but actually looking at, showing people in the video and reminding me to teach people, because I teach this about once every 5 years. And so many people don't know. We constantly are seeing it in the Facebook group, which, by the way, you should join if you haven't already. People get a feeder and they're going, it's dumping too much food, or I want to grow these babies really fast, and I come in and I tell them to use an auto feeder, and they go, but it dumps too much food, right? So when we look at the cylinder, or let's get the basics of what an auto feeder does. An auto feeder, you set the time, you set when it's going to feed, you set how many times the barrel will rotate, and you set how often it'll do it, right? So if I just hit this feed button right here, watch this goes around, right? And that feeding window, or the how long it takes to go around, could let out a lot of food. And so if we look at the top here, let me try to get a good angle on that. You can kind of see it right here, right under my eyes. This is how you adjust how much food could come out. Now, if you have very big food, you might get a week's worth of feeding on a koi pond or something. Or if you're dealing with very baby fish, and that's mostly what community fish are, pretty small fish, you might be using just like one click open, or maybe two. Like, I don't know that I've opened a feeder much more than this ever, just because it's not enough to do a big koi pond, and that's a lot of food. And so some of the challenges that exist, even with the one click, right? So we're at one click right now. I don't know if it'll zoom in on that. Yeah, it's zooming in pretty good. So we're at one click there. If you put something like the Extreme Nano Food, which is what I use a lot of, a ton comes out, right? And so my trick is, well, how do we get that hole smaller? I like to use a piece of tape. You just cover up a portion of it. Now, with baby fry that maybe I've only got a few, I might cover it up almost completely, right? So I just grab a piece of tape, and what I like about the tape is you can adjust it as they grow. So I grab, a decent sized piece of tape, you rip it off, and I just set it, like I want to put it on right here. All right, so I press it all down. I'm going to show it to you. So now, hopefully, if it'll focus, you can see that kind of right here, there's only about a fifth of the hole open. Now, when this rotates, hit the button, it's going to rotate. Food's going to stick to the back of the tape, but that smaller hole is going to let some food out. That might be just the amount you need. I test over a paper plate normally. So I set this on, I set it up and I hold the plate there, I hit the button and I go, how much is coming out? And I go, nope, that's too much. I only have 11 guppy fry. That's way too much food. That's 80 pieces of food and I got 11 fry. So what I do is I then grab the piece of tape, and it's gonna have food on the back of it, but don't worry, it doesn't matter. I basically lift it up and I hold the back of it. I kind of hold where it was so I don't, trying to save time. So I kind of hold where it was. So now it's mostly free. And you just take the piece of tape and you angle it more to the, to the right if you're making the hole on the right. And now that hole is tiny. That might only let out, like, if I can hide my face, like 6 grains of food. And so that might be great for the first week or two, and then you kind of just keep moving that piece of tape. And then eventually, maybe you'll have it all the way open. But even on like the ponds that we had in the fish room with the guppies, I almost never had it at the first click all the way open, just because that released so much nano. Now, that's really only a problem with the nano food, not so much other foods. Like when I use bigger pellets or Vibrabites. Vibrabites, like in a discus tank or Corridora tank, or maybe got a bunch of platies or whatever it is a bigger food. And so with that food, you can actually, run it like on 2 clicks and you get a decent amount. But even then you might get, okay, well, might be a little too much. Put that piece of tape on there. And by doing that, by getting that happening once every day, that's the first step you can take to really automating a lot of the feeding, and 2, not missing days. What happens, it's kind of like if you've ever written down what you eat or any activity, when you actually start documenting it, you're going, wow, I actually missed 3 times a week on average, or 2 times a week, or during the holidays, or during spring break, or whatever your crunch time is. You're going to go, wow, there's actually a pattern here. And those will be big gains actually for, getting better color on your fish, getting them to be bigger, growing up fry, or getting fry to survive. Sometimes the only difference between people breeding fish and not breeding fish is the food. So sometimes they're not getting enough nutrition to actually make eggs and things like that. Or they're getting enough nutrition, they lay a batch of eggs, they hatch out, but they haven't eaten today, and they get hungry, and they get testy, and they fight, and then they eat the babies. So I really like setting up a majority of my tanks using an auto feeder once a day. Now, I personally still feed maybe live baby brine or rapashi or frozen or a different dry food each day, just depending on what's going on in the tank. And for me, I like a staple, something I can just go, yep, this is going to be the food, it's going to be the staple forever, pretty much in this tank. And I'll decide, you know what, today the extra food in this tank that's got snails, like, one of my tanks is snails, Florida flagfish, and pygmy corridoras. And then this week I had some Rudolph shrimp. I haven't seen any of them since I put in there, though, so I don't know if they're still there. They didn't come in so hot, but we'll see. Now, I might put in some calcium food, right, for the snails and that kind of stuff. And, of course, the corridors are going to eat it, too. And then tomorrow I might do some krill flake. And then the day after I might do frozen cyclops. Meanwhile, they're still getting nano. I have them eat nano at basically like 4 p.m. every day. I typically am in my fish room earlier in the day, kind of around 11 or noon or so. And so they get fed then. 4 hours later is another feeding. Now, what they say for optimum fish growth, and not all fish are the same, not all systems are the same, but some scientific journals and papers say 2% of their body weight, which that's, 2% of a neon tetra, that gets hard. Making sure each one eats the right amount, that's also hard. But 2% of their body weight, and then they pretty much can eat through their food every 2 hours for a growing fish. And so, you obviously, you're going to have to balance. If you start feeding your fish every 2 hours, you're going to probably have more maintenance or higher nitrates, or there's going to be some effects. You might grow more algae. There might be other things, right? But I try to shoot for it when I'm really trying to breed or just make my fish look really good, or I've got extra time. I shoot for 3 times a day. Sometimes it's 4. You know, sometimes like if I'm working in the fish room all day, um, I'll feed right when I get in there. That's one of the first things I do. And then as time goes on, I might want to try other foods and just go, yeah, now I'm gonna do frozen, and oh, those guys are still looking hungry, and you know, that's that's how I operate it. Orange F says, here's an idea for Aquarium Co-op Feeder 2.0. Divide the barrel into 2 halves. That way you can feed 2 types of dry foods, like sinking tablets on one side and micro pellets on the other. That could be a thing. It sounds hard to design, though. And, you know, the more tricks you add to something, the more time we spend in customer service trying to help people through that. So the one thing I will admit, when you use the tape trick, usually the barrel will last a super long time. So I don't always fill it. Like if you fill this with nano and you're only letting out a tiny bit, this might last a year. But this food in here gets pretty stale by a year, so I don't always fill it. The other thing is, when you have the tape here, the top door for refilling, because if it's mounted on a tank, it's meant to be refilled easily, doesn't work because you got to take this piece of tape off, and then you can slide this part forward. You could fill it, you push it back, and then you could technically trim this tape down a lot so that it didn't have that problem. But I always leave myself lots of tape so I can adjust it whenever I want. And I find Scotch tape and like this blue tape or masking tape works really easy because it's easy to pull up and reapply. So the other way, this is also something I'll do. This is definitely not a home hobbyist, which I said I was going to try to keep it to home hobbyist, but in the fish room like mine, I'll actually buy extras so that I have extra barrels, and I'll just swap the barrel. So this barrel pulls off, and maybe I have a new batch of fry. I'll literally just take this barrel, put it on a different auto feeder, feed a different tank, and then I've got other barrels with like the tape already adjusted for like, hey, now I've got 11, guppies that are this big, and I can feed them, and I just pop that on. So, but you can also, where I was going with that, you can also, refill the Eheim and ours and others. You can also refill the old-fashioned way, and that is by pulling this part off, filling it that way, putting it back together, and reinstalling. So there you go. Auto feeders, they run somewhere between, I would say, in my lifetime, sometimes on super sale at like $20, all the way up to $40. And a quality one should last a very long time. They basically last until you dunk them in water. That being said, I have run into some problems with the Eheim ones. They've never failed on me, so I've never had one just not work. I have had batteries like go bad and kind of get all crusty and then not work. I've also dropped them into water and had them not work, but so far with ours and the Eheim ones, I've never just it just doesn't work. And so my hope, and I don't have super duper duper long-term data yet, is that the rechargeable batteries hopefully won't fall into that fate of, oops, if you have one rotation going a day, a set of batteries in an Eheim will last a really, really long time. And sometimes those batteries are kind of already old, then they go in, then you get that, oof, now they've expanded, not good, and I got battery acid and stuff, or crystallization or whatever. And so I also can plug this one all the time. It's only really, in my opinion, only applicable when you have a ton of tanks. So it goes about 6 months rotating once a day with this battery, where if you're rotating it 3 rotations every feeding and you're feeding 3 or 4 times a day, you might only get a month out of it, and you might want it plugged in all the time. But you'll also be changing that barrel or reloading food very often. But automating that part allows you to spend more time, feeding higher quality foods. And I think that's what makes a big difference is if you know dry food's happening every day, you don't have to run out there and make sure, oh gosh, they're not going to eat today. But when you do go out, now you can go, I'm going to feed frozen or freeze-dried or rapashi or live food, something that might take an extra 5 minutes, but it's a next step healthier. All right. Yeah, the barrel comes apart for easy feeding. Yeah, this is why we don't add very many features to our products because people like Sarah and Julian hang out in all the live streams. They probably watch this product to be developed, and so often our products aren't even used to their potential. But yeah, this part up here is meant to slide up so that you don't have to remove it from the tank. And I liked it like this because it's very easy to refill a ton of tanks in a fish room. So you kind of got this window up top here, and you got to push, and it unclicks like that. And it's meant to do that. So that way, it's mounted on the tank. You just, the one thing I would I want to build a much better reloader, I guess. Something that's designed like, ooh, that's really easy to reload. Right now, I typically take the Extreme Nanos and I just pinch them really hard and try to pour them in, and a little bit of food falls in the tank. But, yeah. All right. So, and then you technically don't have to like click it back in, but I always do. So I always try to get that nice click back in. I have noticed some that I didn't click back in. I didn't have any problems. So, all right. So yeah, automate food. You'll feed a lot more, so do know your food bill will go up a little bit. And if you're not auto feeding, you'll have to clean a little more often. But things that I noticed too, putting an auto feeder on a planted tank, when you up the food, usually you'll start getting better growth. Yes, you can feed Easy Green and I've actually just bought another auto doser so that I could auto dose Easy Green. But this is one of the easiest ways to up nitrogen and other elements in your fish tank. In addition to feeding them, you could also just load it up if you always forget to feed maybe your snails or something like that. And one of the tricks that I really should call this out, and I just thought about it now, an auto feeder, I'm of the opinion that basically everybody needs an auto feeder. But I just thought of another like real valid use for one, and that is you load up M&Ms, and while you're watching a movie, you just keep hitting the button and it'll drop them straight in your mouth. No, actually, nighttime fish. So if you have nocturnal fish, lots of like coolie loaches and other types of loaches, lots of plecostomus, Malaysian trumpet snails are nocturnal. There's a lot of fish that actually prefer to eat in either very dim light or at night. And you can set these up to feed at night. And so if you've kept any of those fish, it can be hard. How do I get food to my elephant nose? How do I get food to XYZ? If it's nocturnal, when the lights are out, much, much easier. So I've never called that out before, but I think that's a good use that people should know for, Synodontis catfish and all these things that we would typically be keeping. It's another great way. So don't forget about your nocturnal fish. All right. So there was a question in the chat before we went live that I grabbed. I was only in there about 30 minutes early. I was getting supplies because they were all in my fish room. I didn't have one. I gotta put way more stuff up there. But the question comes from Mr. Justin. One thing I'd love to hear is the demographic switch with your store. Obviously, you started more local. How has the knowledge of your clientele changed over time? So what I would say is the knowledge part hasn't really changed and maybe potentially gotten worse for me. Because being one-on-one with people in the store all the time, you would learn lots about a lot of things, and you'd meet, hey, it's Larry the killifish guy. Hey, it's this person that, wow, they love blood parrots. I don't get that interaction anymore with those types of fish people. So I miss out on that, but I have way more time to kind of R&D, figure out like, do I like this? Could I break this? What do I want to build today? What do I want to work on? And so that's very nice. The biggest change I would say that actually happened was buying power. This product could have never existed if I just stayed at a one retail store, because the amount of money it took to just prototype it, the amount of money it took to order it and that kind of stuff. So what would have happened, and this is probably a good example actually. When I was in the retail store for a while, we would sell the Eheim auto feeder, and wholesale cost for me was $22. And on Amazon, it sold for $22. So I would have to mark them up. I marked them up to $30 in my retail store because I had to make some. Because if you walked into my store and you swiped a credit card to buy this, I would lose money. Or if you returned it, I'd lose money, right? And you're trying not to lose money as a business. And so I basically sold that product out of, I want feeders. Maybe I'll make some money on the food. I got to sell something. Then Eheim, in my opinion, has pulled out of the United States. They've got a few contracts with a few companies, but all the big wholesalers don't offer Eheim anymore. So mom and pop stores, it's hard to get a hold of, right? So then I couldn't get feeders at all. We had none to sell, so that wasn't great. And so what would happen in the local store was people would just buy feeder XYZ online. And you've probably had some of these, like, oh, this one's the Ocean Nutrition Nutrifin one, this one's the Fluval one, this one's the no-name brand one, this one's the 7-day disc vacation feeder one. And each one would have different programming problems or just different challenges to solve. And people would be asking us, we'd help them as best we could. And then eventually we launched the version 1.0, and that one wasn't reliable enough for us. It had higher than a 5% defect rate. We eventually, 2 years later, launched this one, and now that allows our customer service to really help people and make, videos about tape on these things. So that's really what it did, and it did that for a bunch of products, obviously, for us. But that, in the nutshell, when we were able to bring everyone's spending power together, we're able to channel that into what we think people want, a majority, right? So even a home run for us is 60% of customers love it. But we also know 40% are going, why doesn't it do what I want it to do? And, unfortunately, we're just not at a place where we can do that. So we don't. Are you still working on bringing Oliver Knott's book? Yes, it's on the water currently. To the best of my knowledge, it's on the water. It's on a very slow boat over here. And I think it lands on the East Coast, and then it has to get trucked to the West Coast. So yeah, these things, they're on the way, and by golly, has it been a lot of work to get books imported from Germany to here. But we've invested, I think we're $5,000 into it, and we haven't even paid the import fees or anything. That's just, we had to put a deposit down just to get the publisher of the book to release them to get shipped, right? And then it's been a process. But it's in the pipeline, because I dropped off the copy of the book I have with Lizzie to take photos and things. So we're starting to get the product page ready, and I think our plan is initially offer it to members. So if you're a paid member here, you'll get access first, and then maybe a week or 10 days or something like that, then it'll be general public. And I think we're limiting it to 2, because they're as far as I know, never going to be any more printed. And there's, I think, maximum 400 is what we'll have. And every one of them is signed by Oliver Knott, and 5 of them have a fish that he drew in them. And then he wants to do like a special extra thing for the 5 people to get those. So we'll see how it goes. It's always hard to tell. Some of these things I'm like, I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. I would only buy 1, but then there's people that will buy 2 because they have 2 fish friends, or there's 2 fish friends and only one has a YouTube membership. I get it. But we also don't want someone to just buy them all and then you go like, hey, they're $200 each on Amazon. Because that's what's happened with some publications in the past, like Chris Lukup's Breeders and Keepers magazine. It's been up on Amazon here or there for $1,000. And, the whole goal when these people make these books is to get the information out to the people at a very affordable price. Like, they're hobbyists, just, good business people in this hobby are hobbyists. So Chris Lukup and Oliver Knott both keep aquariums, and they're both, getting their hands wet daily. they're in the streams, they're doing it. And so they want to bring that information to people as cheaply as possible while affording what they do, right? So, Oliver Knott, even though people probably, most people probably haven't got a chance to hang out with him a lot, but for as world renowned as he is and flies around the world giving talks and doing all that, his day job is servicing aquariums. High-end clientele. He does okay, but even when you're the best at some things, like it's still just, yeah, it's a career, but it's not an easy career. Being that he's had some health problems lately and he can't maintenance the aquariums as often, and that's really impacted his income. And that's one of the reasons why we've come with the books. We're going, hey, I'd love to sell this book. This will be some income for you. It'll help. You've already done this. And he had brought one to me as just a gift. And I was like, this thing's amazing. Wow, I'd love to sell this. And then he mentioned, hey, I think there's 400 left at the publisher. And that was from years ago. So that's how this thing came to be. And the goal will be, basically to get money in Oliver Knott's pocket. All right. Yeah, Chris Lukup's videos have been epic. Yeah, if you're not following Chris Lukup on YouTube, he releases German videos, but also he'll do the English translation. And his videos are what inspire me, basically. Before he would do videos, he would inspire me by telling the tale, having the pictures, showing me where he's been, and I'd be like, wow, I really want to do that kind of stuff too. So I would go travel the world and try to show you guys Peru and, China and these other places. And our goal is to do that together. And so COVID really put a damper on that, but I am going to spend 3 weeks in Germany again with Chris and hopefully a week with Oliver Knott, and we'll go visit some of these things. I'm hoping to see some of the crazy cool aquarium projects that Oliver has done, and we want to visit Croatia and Albania and a few other countries where it has really cool underwater scenes that are freshwater and it's clear water, and we can document the plants and look at it and do all of that. So I'm also working on a book with Chris, and we just keep kind of we're this, I guess, this little group of people that really we want to see the hobby grow, and we each bring a strength to it. So hopefully we're hoping that can continue to keep moving along. I trim off my 3 to 4 foot of my jungle val every few months. Yeah, I just made a video about Vallisneria. I showed trimming it. And I probably should film another clip so that Matt can show it, because I think I did it a week or two ago, and I was going to say you can get some melt back. I typically don't. And if I could do the layover of like, here's 2 weeks later, it didn't melt back, it's still growing. But some people do experience some heavy melt backs, but I find that only happens when the plant wasn't super happy to begin with. Like, it was fine, but if it's really happy, plants will just overcome tons of adversity if it's real healthy. Will the double port air pump be restocked? No. It will be stocked though. We've actually never sold the double air pump yet. I've got it's probably at someone's house for pictures. I get these prototypes, and then I work with them and I play with them, and then I save them. And then eventually it comes picture time. And then they'll go to other people's houses for pictures. So like, kind of a weird thing. We pay a lot of money to get samples, right? So like let's say this sponge. This is maybe not the right example, but there's a product I'm working on that, the mold was $5,000. And what will show up is like 2 of these things. And then they won't be right. We'll have to send them back and go, okay, we gotta make changes. We take a lot of pictures and videos, and we actually don't send them back. We just do go through all the changes. Then they'll send like another 2. And each time we're sending this stuff across, we send it across really fast. And so we're basically trying to overnight it from China to here. And you might get 2 of these, and you're like, oh, that was $140 to overnight them. And overnighting is more like 5 days. So they get here in 5 days. Maybe this is the one, like, this is great. And then we start telling them, great, do everything you need to do to go to production. So then from that point, when I say, this is great, and they go to production, we're probably 5 or 6 months out from landing in America in bulk, where we can actually sell them. So the process that happens when I go, great, this is good, we go, okay, got to get pictures. So that's the first thing, get pictures. Pictures, well, it's a different set of pictures. This set of pictures goes to the product package designer that we have. So we start designing product packaging, and we go back and forth. What are the bullet points we want on the package? Where. So when you get something like this is the air pump, right? So when we're designing it, we're actually designing a box like this. And so you gotta really kind of look at it, because you don't get to see one. You're designing a box like this. So you've got all these little flaps, and they'll be marked on the design sheet which ones, like this won't show, this won't show, these ones won't show, and these ones won't show. But you got to figure out the orientation of each thing on how it's going to be. Like, we've got all these bullet points right here. We've got specs right here. We've got the 1-year warranty. We're advertising the forum. We have the barcode in the YouTube channel. All of that kind of stuff goes into it. And we do very simple packaging, I'm sure you guys noticed, because we don't want to spend forever and a day designing packaging. We want to get it to you guys. And so some products, the last product we didn't have this process dialed in. And so we used to launch everything in a white box. So some people will post some really old, like sponge filters in a white box, or the current one you can still get is actually our power heads. So that's the first process, get pictures for that. And then I mail them to Irene. And Irene, part of what her job is, she'll start doing drafts of instructions. So we try, one of our things that we really like to do is make sure instructions are as clear as possible for people to make, Candy's job with customer service easier, which, by the way, we have 2 new part-time customer service reps. Howdy do, if you're listening. So make their job as easy as possible. We'll go through some rounds of that. Randy and Irene will go through that. Then eventually it comes back to me. And then my job is to find all the holes in maybe what we've missed here. Like, ooh, we didn't tell people not to do this. Or I thought actually it did this. And what can get very confusing is if you've been working on a product for a year and a half, you might think it does something that it doesn't do or doesn't. And you got to make sure, like, are these directions current for the build we went with? So yeah, all of that goes. And so originally that started with asking, why I don't have the 2 air pump like sitting around is I think it went to pictures and it never came back to me. And sometimes that can be very problematic. We actually have to wait to ship it back to me because we want to test a thing, like, oh, we forgot to test this, or we want to add a part on, just try and add it. If I don't have the original one, then that's very problematic, and shipping it around the country might cost us $25 a shipment, but shipping from China to here is at least a 1-week thing by the time you ask for it, and they got to ship it. So yeah, I missed the China fish market videos you did. Guess what? Sips is back in Guangzhou, and I haven't been obviously since COVID, but I'm hoping the fish market is alive and rocking, and we definitely have booked a couple of days to film there. Is that an Aquarium Co-op skateboard? Of course it is. Of course it is. All right, let's see here. I'm going to start grabbing some of these questions. I've been missing lots of stuff, so my apologies. I want to add salt to my molly tank and my platy tank, but I don't want to harm my plants. What's the sweet spot? I would use something like I would use a teaspoon of marine salt per 20 gallons. Mostly what mollies and stuff want is not so much the salinity, so the actual salt part, which that sounds weird. The NaCl, they don't necessarily want that. They want the higher pH, they want the extra minerals that come with it, the hardness, all of that. So they really want that, and that just usually comes with that salt. So in nature, when you see salts, usually you're seeing the other elements. And so it's really easy to replicate that in our home aquarium with a teaspoon of like the easy brine shrimp salt per 20 gallons when you do a water change. Plants are always gobbling up some of those nutrients. I haven't run into a problem, but I only did about a 1.5 year test. So that's not enough testing when you're talking to tens of thousands of people going, hey, just add salt to your aquarium. So definitely go into it, keep an eye on it, all of those good things. I can't wait to visit your store this summer. Yeah, I spent all day with Dean on Saturday at the store. We got all the totes plumbed up for, rice fish and koi and goldfish and white clouds and just cool water fish. I've got some more Saturdays scheduled in the next couple of months. We're waiting on parts to arrive and stuff's starting to really come together. I post little updates in the Facebook group and on YouTube here. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's definitely lots of work, and you guys will probably notice if I'm a little extra run down, or it's like, oh, Corey's is not putting out quite as many videos. It's probably because I'm putting extra days in. So like I know probably tomorrow I gotta get my dogs groomed. I got a breakfast date with my wife. A package that we needed for the building of the store got shipped to our old home, so we got to go pick that up. And then also I got to go to the warehouse and help train someone who's kind of overseeing the plants and stuff. And we want to go over the sump systems and the auto dosers and that kind of stuff. And so all of this stuff has to fit in on top of helping build the retail store, and which leaves very little time to kind of regenerate and go, yeah, I got to make that video. Plus, I'm actually working on developing 2 new products. So we're waiting on samples, so it's on the way. They've done their 3D modeling. And then this other one, I've built the first prototype. I need to build a cleaner prototype so that we can hand it over to them. Then they can build a prototype and then send it to us for testing, where the other one I've tested for a long time. So, all right, let's see here. Royal twigs are spawning tonight. Nice, a twig catfish. Any tips for the fry? Is today the day you critique and advise the local fish store page I solely run? Probably not. But the big thing I would have for twig cats. So one, let me grab the link. So first, did you watch the entire presentation on breeding and raising twig catfish that we have on the channel? Probably not, because not many people have, because YouTube basically saw it and was like, oh no, nobody wants to see this. You got to be 6 layers or 6 levels deep on the nerd scale to want to see this. Let's see here. Let me find it for you. Yeah, how to breed whiptail catfish. There's a lot of little... It's in the Advice Center. We changed the name from Help Center to Advice Center. So I'm going to put that link in the chat. You go to there, you'll see that video, and you can, but mostly lots of rotting woods, softer woods like cholla and stuff like that, some of the spider woods, and then getting some foods that have wood fiber in it. So you could do like rapashi morning wood, or you can, there's a couple of Sarah foods, what is it, is it wood grazers or something like that? So... I use an Aquariumcoop 100-watt heater in my 75-gallon. I'm setting up a 210. Those are heavy. Is it safe to assume I will need 3 of them? It's in the same room. My guess is you will only need 2. I would put money I could do it with 1. But with 1, I'd probably be like pushing it to like really optimize the heat trapping, that it wouldn't be worth the spending the extra $30 and just having 2. 2 will make it easy, but as I've leveled up my aquarium game, it's gotten easier and easier to actually heat. And then also, I'm running my tanks cooler and cooler as I'm just over the years going, do they even need that much heat, honestly? Like right now, I've got it for the last few weeks. I think I said in one of the live streams, I've been testing where my heaters for the entire space is off during the day, saving me power, and it gets down to 71 degrees. And then at night, I have it so the room heaters come on and we'll get it to 73, but that's it. So all of my tanks are kind of, going between those two right now. Well, and then they could be going a little bit lower, but everything that I'm keeping is still thriving. I have this hypothesis that most fish that we would keep in our hobby will do fine at kind of 68 and above. Now, that doesn't mean they're breeding temperatures. I'm not speaking about, captive raised discus. I have done that with wild discus, though. And I'm not talking about zebra plecos and German blue rams and apistos, but most all the tetras and the danios and the corridoras and the shrimp and the, most of all that stuff I found actually does really well. So, all right. Yeah. Watched Chris recently guest on a live stream. The guy is a great storyteller. Yeah, what's actually fun if you ever get the chance is sometimes Chris and I will do a presentation in person together, and there's a lot of I like to make fun of him a lot in a nice joking way and keep the conversation fun and light. And so we did a bunch of those where we toured stores when we were in Israel, and we've done it I think a couple of times at like Inner Zoo / other events like that. Maybe Aquashella one time. But that's something more I want to do. Like, I've done a decent amount of speaking, public speaking, just like I'm going to give the presentation, and it's very much like a live stream. And it becomes repetitive, unfortunately. But it's really fun with lots of engagement from the crowd, or another person on stage, or a different format. Something to go, okay, I haven't done this a bunch. I wonder what it's going to be like, and I don't have to worry and prep and go, is it going to be good enough? And like Q&As are really fun. But yeah, so hopefully in the future we'll do some more. I'm a college student and went for an internship, and I've talked about my aquariums. They said I sound like a researcher, and I got the job. All right, let's one for the nerds. Thanks for the video about cutting glass tops to accommodate the auto feeders. I tried it for the first time this weekend, and it worked perfectly. That's good to hear. Yep, you can see how, our logic is like, hey, let's try to make things that people can use together. Like we teach you how to make the cutout, we teach you about some auto feeder stuff, we teach you about food a little bit, we teach you about this, and hopefully all those skills, some of them can really plug in and, build on that knowledge. Question for Lizzie, but I often struggle with smaller plants and fine root systems with the Aquariumcoop pincets, so tweezers. Would you ever consider releasing a fine tip version? No. I wouldn't, because that market is so small. That's, to me, that is the definition of why other companies are not as nimble as we are. Even though they've got more resources, more people, they end up being these giant boats that are really hard to turn around. And it's because they've got so many products that it's hard for customer service to learn them. It's hard for customers to learn them. It's hard to keep them all in stock. And so very fine tips tweezers, there's competitors that sell them. You can buy them there. I'm not afraid for you guys to go and buy from our competitors. But when it comes to, planting, all of my crypts and my swords and all my other stuff, yeah, our tweezers were great for that. But we probably won't go and launch a finer tipped one, because do we want to invest 10 to 20 grand in that? And then how is it that much different? How do we explain that in the product description? How do we explain that in customer service? And also, not only do I make decisions for you guys of what we will and won't do, but we're also doing it for so many stores now, which is a very dangerous thing to have control of, by the way. I recognize that. So by us not carrying fine tip tweezers, it's less likely that maybe your local store will. And so I'm aware of that and making sure okay, I need to think about that, because I don't want to make decisions that negatively impact the hobby, because there are times you would need fine pin sets. Most of the hobbyists wouldn't. And that, for me, I would see totally in an ADA store, I get it. In your average fish store, though, you probably don't. Let's see here. Thanks for all you do. Really have been a huge impact on my life and others vicariously through me as I spread the wonderful knowledge. You've been around a while, Ryan. Member for over a month or a year, 22 months, but you've been around in the chat for a long time. They said, I'm pretty sure it's way longer than that. My local fish stores have live plants, but outside of swords and crypts, the plants rarely have even the start of root structures. Any tips to get roots started so the plants transition more successfully? My advice would be floating them. So a lot of times when you're seeing bunches and things that just don't have roots, float them at the top. That simulates kind of nature where they've broken off, and they typically grow roots much faster because they're closer to the light. So that would be, let them kind of grow some roots, then figure out how you're going to plant those bad boys. Let's see here. I know I missed some stuff. Wow, lots. I'm way behind today. Just placed an order. Can't wait. Love it. My Blackwater Wild Betta 20-gallon. Got lots of botanicals. Has filled with paramecium. Confirmed with my confocal microscope. Should I be worried about a crash? I don't think you'll have that much of a problem. I think you'll be all right. I mean, if you're raising the bettas and they're only eating that, like if you had baby bettas, you'd worry about crashing and not having enough food. But otherwise, I wouldn't worry about it. Can you use another mineral in place of salt? Are we talking about for mollies and stuff like that? You could use wonder shells. That would work too. What's the easiest live food to culture? I'm trying to feed some picky apistos that I just got. 100% just do live baby brine. It's easy, it's reliable, everybody eventually figures it out, and apistos just go nuts for it. Ooh, let's try this new fan I got. The fan that I've had in this room since we bought this place has spun at about this pace. AKA did nothing. So finally got it replaced like a couple days ago so we can avoid... Wait, armpit check. Oh, nope, see? Got to turn the fan on. I don't know what... I mean, I know it's lights. I got lights on me, but there's something about whenever I speak in public, even right now, like I'm totally at ease in front of the camera. But there's something subconscious that will raise my temperature. Like I could sit in here and work on a spreadsheet for 6 hours, bone dry, not a problem. But the minute I'm in video, like even video conferencing or recording videos, my body temperature just goes up. So this fan will help. Thanks for shipping live plants so carefully. Well, we ship plants super carefully, except for the times we don't. There's times when they just, they get Ace Ventura'd and, thrown on top of the building and kicked across the field. But I will say we'll always bail ourselves out with, if you're not happy with a product or a plant, you let us know and we're going to make it right. That's the thing. If you're never happy with anything you get from us, well, then maybe we don't sell to you eventually. But, and I want people to know we're thankful for your business, and we feel horrible that you have to contact us. So if you got let's say you ordered 12 plants and one arrived bad, we go, dang it, we failed. And then if you order a bunch of other stuff and somehow, I don't know, like this thing was ripped or something, we feel bad again. Like our goal, like my standards are so high, we want perfection, which perfection is impossible to achieve, but we're striving for it. That, we would much rather have you let us know and us make it right than you go. I don't want our customers to feel like I've had to feel sometimes where, have you ever been, I'm sure you've been to a restaurant, you order and it comes out wrong and you're like, oh man, it's going to be such a pain in the butt for everybody involved that I'll just eat it this way. Screw it. Even though I was real careful, like don't put this on there or cook it medium and now it's raw or whatever. And then, maybe you do send it back. And then it comes back and it's like even more messed up or still messed up in the same way where they're like, you asked for a well done burger. They bring it back and it's pink and bloody. You send it back. They bring another one that's pink and bloody. By that point, everybody else finished eating and you're just like, oh, that's terrible. We're trying to avoid that. We don't and sometimes it's impossible to avoid. Sometimes yep, got windmilled in shipping, nothing we can do. Sometimes it's a mistake on our part, sometimes something else. But, you know, we really always are going to try to make it right. And I guess the biggest thing I want to convey is whenever I'm diagnosing what our process is going to be in customer service, I ask myself, would I put up with that? And most times I'm like, I would never. That's why when you have a problem with a product, most of the time we just keep it. Here's your money back. Because if I've ordered something and I already done my research and I think this thing's going to be amazing and it's not, the last thing I want to do is be like, okay, I got to box this thing up and I got to ship it and I got to do what? Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have people ship stuff back, like lights, for instance. We had someone buy a couple of, Aquariumcoop lights. They don't like the color of them. Okay, you got to ship them back. We'll give you your money back. No problem. But, on most cheaper stuff, it's like, sorry, I didn't like it. It's kind of like comping the meal. Sorry, meal's on us. We'll try better next time, I guess. Or hopefully you didn't like the fettuccine. Well, next time you come, try the soup and salad. I don't know what to tell you. Let's see. In a 700-gallon sump, what pump are you using for the AWC setup? Are you using the water dog float switch? So the 800-gallon tank, when we did build the sump, let's see, auto water change setup. Okay. All right. So we were using the water dog float switch, which I just buy off Amazon. And particularly in that one, I just grabbed a pump I had laying around. So I think it was like a Fluval pump that was actually pumping the water out. But yeah, almost anything. It doesn't really have to be a big, water comes in pretty slow, so it doesn't have to be a big pump for our water change systems. We're using, in the new retail expansion, we're using like an actual utility pump. But honestly, I've had it work so well on so many that I don't even really go out of my way to buy a certain pump. I'm just like, I just need a good float valve and a pump. I wish you sold lapis luster at the store. The manufactured minerals place is always closed when I visit, and I can't find it anywhere else. There's another place in Seattle that sells it. Let's see. That place is manufactured minerals, but I think it's manufactured minerals, but it's in Seattle. I definitely have bought it at more than one place, and yeah, part of the reason we don't sell it's a pain in the butt. We got to go there. When we used to sell it, maybe this harkens back to Mr. Justin's question. We used to buy that sand, bag it into 10-pound bags, and resell it. But as we got more popular, we were doing that run more often. It was hurting people's backs to be moving the 100-pound bags. They wouldn't order the 50-pound bags for us in that. There was no deals to be had if we were like 5 pallets and you deliver it to the store. Nope, that ain't happening. And we didn't have big trucks to be taking the pallets of sand. And it's like, you might be like, oh, I own a truck, I could do it. Like, no. Like, when you start loading 6,000 pounds of sand in one pallet, like, most trucks on the market don't take that. You need to start getting into like, oh, what's this trailer rated for? What's this rated for? In fact, we upgraded the suspension in my old Chrysler van to be able to move rock and sand like that. And so we used much more beefy shocks and everything. It was meant to hold lots of extra equipment for like wheelchairs and that kind of stuff. So, you start going through all of those stuff, and then at the end you're like, and when you buy a 10-pound bag, I make 42 cents. All right, we're going broke doing this. So I hear you. And we would run the same problems. They'd be sold out, or this would be happening, or my favorite was the bags would be wet, so they'd be sticking together, and the amount of sand that would rip open in the back of my van and all that. But it's a great substrate, though. It is. It just, got to be willing to do the works. I want to do guppies and blue dream shrimp in my 10-gallon. Will the guppies bother shrimp? Yes. Should I add shrimp before the guppies? Yes. Any tips? Yes. Watch my video on breeding fish for profit. I could find that in the advice center. Hey. Let me pull that up. I think it's in the first video. Yeah, what are the best fish to breed? I believe one of the tanks I specifically talk about me breeding shrimp and guppies in the same tanks and doing well. 10 gallons a little cramped. It can be done, but the bigger you get, the easier that gets. It's really about plant density. But I linked that in the chat for you. Best bushy plants that can thrive long term in their pots in an easy planter and feed off root tabs. I would try Amazon Sword with all the root tabs in the world, and I would try Pogostemon stellatus octopus. That thing, once it gets going, it's kind of hard to even get rid of. I mean, not get rid of, but like, you almost got to try to kill it. Like, I definitely have just thrown it into ponds, and then I got a ton more. Indoor ponds, by the way. I'm not just going to like random people's ponds and throwing it in there. Like my actual indoor ponds when I had them. All right. I've got a 40-gallon cube. It's heavily 70% planted. My nitrates are low. Do I still need to change water? Not as much as most people would tell you. I would tell you that if I had that tank, I'd be dosing fertilizers more often to keep nitrates up, but I would probably change water every 6 months or so. It's, we only test for maybe 5 different things, right? But we could be building up other stuff that we're not aware of. If you notice anything detrimental, first thing I would do is do a water change. But I believe we also do decent amounts of harm to our aquariums and our setups by just changing water all the time. It's kind of just always, futzing with it. Let's see. I really love that your auto feeder comes with double-sided tape. I stick mine to the glass and cut the plastic on the back of my lid, and it works amazing. Yep. Yeah, because this won't work on acrylic tanks. So you can just take this part off. And the double-sided kind of foam ring, put it on the bottom of here. You figure out exactly where it needs to live on your tank. And there you go. Could I bring back the member stream with Zenzo or Bob or someone? Could I? Yes. Will I? Yes. When will I? That I don't know yet. Yeah, it's definitely on the probably, but lining people's schedules up and just working on stuff. Like right now, like Candy's in meetings. We're training new customer service people. Zenzo's a part of that. Bob's got stuff going on. I've got stuff going on. And, like maybe we rearrange everything. We get it to happen on Sundays. And then pretty soon it's like, oh, I can't do it Sundays anymore. I got traveling coming up. I got to go. I'm going to be in Pennsylvania for like 10 days. And then I'm back for a few weeks. And then I'm in China for like 2 weeks. And then I'm back for like a month and a half. Then I'm in Europe for 3 weeks. And so it gets hard to get, kind of routine stuff going. But it is on the agenda for sure. There's definitely, I would say, like guilt that builds up, like, I got to do some more. But the problem is I've got let's say you've got 10 lists of like, okay, retail store stuff, online stuff. Then you've got like membership stuff. Then you've got like, I really need to be working on that book with Chris Lukup stuff. Then you've got all these people wanting to do event stuff. And you're like, okay, I'll do this. I'll do that. I can't do that. I could do this. I can't do that. I could do this though. And so unfortunately, until I hang out with PecTech more, I don't know how to clone myself. So, let's see. Yeah, I've never felt embarrassed or apologetic about approaching Aquarium Co-op customer service because I know how deeply my team cares. Yes. Everything that comes in as an input to Aquarium Co-op, so every email, every sale, everything we can do, we basically feed it to this database that costs us about $4,000 a month. And we input as much data as we can so that we're keeping track of how many of this product broke at a retail partner store, how many broke for our customers online, how many broke in the retail store, how many did USPS break, how many, all that kind of stuff, so that we can know, do we need to change packaging? Is it just this one store that's having a problem? Like, what are they doing wrong? Or is it this one customer? Like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you've gone through a lot of these, and we sold 1,000 of them, and you're the only one having problems this week. Which does happen, by the way. We just always want to get to the bottom of it, and sometimes we find out that we've got the wrong optics. Like, oh dang. So we're always trying to improve that and make it go better. Where'd that go? Next version of Aquariumcoop heater. I don't know what the ETA is, if I'm being honest. Could be the next batch we get. Might be the one after. The shortages of microchips are making production schedules kind of hectic, I guess the word I'm looking for. So we end up pre-making them but not shipping them at all because we can't store them all, but they'll be sitting there in a facility ready to board a boat for us. And see, I'm not sure when the newest one will arrive. I watched all your fish breeding for profit videos. It helped a lot. I made my first sale to my local fish store a few weeks ago. Nice. Yeah, I used to have a customer, or not customer, maybe probably a customer, but a fan or two that when I was still kind of like talking to specific people before I got overwhelmed, they would update me like once a month, like, hey, here's my monthly total. Here's how much I did on the year. And it really reaffirmed that at least some people were able to take that advice and turn it, into actionable income for them. So there's people that are like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And there's things you'd be like, you can't sell fish on Facebook anymore. It's like, well, yeah, when I made the video, you could, and it's like, you got to use your brain, go, okay, you can't do that, but what could you do? What has popped up that didn't exist before? Like, you didn't even mention TikTok. Like, TikTok didn't exist back then. It's more about, it's like reading an older book on sales or something. You're like, oh, that's not applicable today. And the reality is usually it's 100% applicable. You just have to go, wait, replace this word with this word makes sense. Will the co-op sell CO2 drop checkers and the solution? Probably not. I just don't whenever we've done it in the store and that kind of stuff, it only leads people down the wrong path. They start going, I can't get it. I can't get it to the color I need. Are your plants happy? Yes, but I'm not happy. I need 7 more lights. I need way more CO2. Oh man, my fish are dying. My pH is crashing. I'm going to get a pH probe. You get that. And they're just like, they're going down the rabbit hole chasing a thing when they should have stopped when, oh, my plants are doing amazing. So what I would say is most people probably don't need a drop checker. A lot of people will buy one. And what I know is if we list something, like 90% of people that buy our Easy Green should never need Easy Iron. But yet 60% of people buy Easy Iron right away because they just assume. And that's why don't you expand and have like a nitrogen only, Corey? Why don't you have another high-end version of the fertilizer? Because people just collectively as humans, we can look at the behavior and we go, because 30% of all of these humans are just going to go, I'll just buy it all. And then I'll get confused. I've dosed all the things and then problems happen. You see it in fish groups all the time. Why are you dosing 3 different dechlorinators? Oh, well, this one gets rid of ammonia. This one builds a slime coat and this one gets rid of heavy metals. And it's like, yeah, but you don't need to be using 3 different dechlorinators. And so our commitment is to making it easy. Hence why a lot of our products are easy. And, by keeping it easy, it means that we won't do it all, unfortunately. But, we want to do the world's best taco and be good at it. And yeah, we're going to miss all the pizza sales and the cheeseburger sales and the candy sales. But we should be pretty darn good when you email and go, hey, I burned my tacos. What do I do? Customer service comes in going, don't worry. We've been down this road. Here's exactly how we're going to get you making good tacos again. Alrighty. Guppy Beast made $250 thanks to the video today. All right, people getting rich off breeding fish, and other people getting good fish. It's a win-win. Are there any plants you would say don't like higher light or even medium lighting outside of Swassertang? I was gonna say so Swassertang, and I was like, oh, he's already knows. I already think that. I think you can get into trouble a little bit with Anubias. It can go highlight, but sometimes you just get algae growing too much. So I would say like maybe that's one, but for the most part, as long as you can keep algae at bay, plants just kind of want more light. So I'm sure if I had more time, I could go, you know what? This plant also, but for the most part, more light, they like it. But if you grow algae, they don't like it so much. It would be helpful to have a video based on what you just spoke about. Honestly, how to do the high-tech, easy planet tank. I know I'm missing something, but I feel like I'm doing everything I can. I mean, maybe I have to collate the data, but I feel like we've already done it a million times, and that is like nutrients, light, plants. That's what you need. And then you add in some algae eaters to make up the difference. We've made it as easy as we can, I think, with you buy the Easy Green LED, you use Easy Green fertilizer, and you use the Aquariumcoop regulator. And then you say, hey, but you don't have the drop checker. Yeah, you don't need the drop checker. Hey, you don't sell a par meter. Yeah, you don't need a par meter. Hey, you don't, so it can be very easy. The problem I find is that it takes skill, and the skill takes time. And I can't really sell you that. So I can sell you the mixer, I can sell you the ingredients, I can sell you the house, I can sell you the oven. But when you go to make your first bread or your first croissants or your first cake, you might be a little slow at it. It's overproofing, right? Or you didn't really know you set the oven to 325, but it actually runs more like 355, right? Or, the butter wasn't as soft as you really would have liked it. Or you did your math wrong when you're folding your croissants and it multiplies every time you fold it and you got a little bit wrong, so it wasn't fluffy enough. But the reality is we do have all the ingredients and you guys are pretty much buying all the ingredients. We want to be able to buy the ingredients and get the result. But the difference between the result we want and what we're getting usually is skill. And that skill comes from time. And some people get it really quick, right? If you come and work at my retail store and 2 months later, you're going to feel like a plant wizard. Why? There's plant tanks everywhere. You're learning from 20 customers a day coming in with plant problems. You'll learn how to fix them, right? But in your tanks, maybe you've got 3 tanks and you're struggling with them for a year and you feel like I'm going nowhere. Yeah, you gotta part of it. Most times, like I don't ask customer service. I don't ask other professionals for the most part. I want to figure it out because when I figure it out, I learn. And when I learn, I can teach. And when I teach, I learn again, right? So the process for me is I've got a problem. Let me see if I can fix this problem. All right, I fix this problem. Could I now teach this problem, the fix to the problem? If I can, now I truly understand the problem because I was able to help somebody else that has the problem fix the problem. And because I can articulate it well enough, I now believe that I know it. So that's just my process. And so a lot of times you'll just see stuff where it's like, oh, that thing looks terrible. Like, yeah, because it's easy, in my opinion, to be a YouTuber. I can literally just dump that thing out, spray it out, start brand new. I've got infinite resources at the store to be like, yep, new fish, new plants, new substrate, new everything. Looks good for the video. But that, I didn't actually learn anything from that. I just learned how to spend money to get the result, to get the video. And you guys don't really learn either, right? Like, I don't think it's fair to be like, oh, my tank doesn't look so good. Go spend another $1,000. Give it another try. Instead, my responses typically are like, get yourself some mono shrimp, some flagfish, start learning about the light cycle, get as many constants as you can. Like right now, our warehouse tanks They were tested today. They're running at 5 parts per million nitrates. We upped it last week by 20%, right? We're stocking some more plants in higher quantities. They're consuming the nutrients faster. I thought they might run out, but I didn't want to make a huge change all at once. Instead, I'd rather go week by week going, well, how did I handle this week? All right, let's bump it up 10 more percent. How did I handle this week? Bump it up 10 more percent so that I can get a track record of what's going on. So, best water temperature for fancy goldfish. I'm confused with the different guidance on the internet. All right, here's the secret to goldfish. Keep them without a heater and don't let them go above 80. Everything else is just noise. I own many goldfish books. I've talked to many goldfish breeders. Could you optimize a little bit by always keeping them at 74 to 76 degrees? You might get a little bit more growth. But honestly, the people that do really well just let it be, they just let it be normal room temp. Now, you might go, but I live in the desert. It's 4 billion degrees. That's why I'm saying, well, don't let it be over 80. But anything under 80 pretty much works. That being said, 79.9 for 10 years straight, that ain't great either. But in general, most people's homes, right? If it's really hot, you keep it a little bit cooler. Normal household temperatures do wonders for goldfish. So I would say just let it ride. All you got to do. And that's the easiest thing. Don't buy a heater. Don't spend money with us. You're going to have great results. Instead, spend your time on filtration, water changes, good foods, enjoying them, all of those good things. Best of luck to the new customer service employees. Candy sets a high bar. We had a lot of candidates. So, and we have a high standard, as you guys know. Some of these people we've met in person at shows, which is, it's really tough for us because there'll be people like mods in the chat here. There'll be mods on Facebook. There'll be mods on the forums. There'll be people that really help us at shows. And so, you know, kind of think of it, a remote position making $22 an hour or more, benefits, room to grow usually, and just working from home. We had hundreds and hundreds of applicants. So then we had to pare it down. So then we looked through and go like, who's just, you've never kept a fish before, but $22 sounds amazing. Okay, you're out, right? But then there's, then there's the people that are like, okay, you're a hobbyist, you know us, you seem like a good candidate. Then we sent them all test questions. We took literal questions we receive from you guys, and we said, hey, answer these. And everybody that answered them, then we went through another round and go, how do we like it? Was it way too long, way too short? Was it correct or wrong? Were they, trying to get a feel for them? Then after that, I think after that round, there was like 14. Then there was 14 in-person interviews, not in-person, sorry, like Zoom interviews or, Google Meets, that type of thing, virtual interviews between Zenzo and them. And then after that pool got whittled down, then it was between Candy and them. And I think Zenzo was in on the call too, but so then we actually arrived at 2. There was 2 amazing candidates, and we wow, these are both really good. Let's get 2. We only were looking for 1, but let's get 2 because they're both really good. So, yeah. My basement is 60 degrees Fahrenheit, so I need heaters. I personally would not run heaters with goldfish at 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I would just rock it. I've done it in my garage before where it gets down in the 40s. And then in the summer it gets above 80. When it gets to 80, I just put a fan blowing on it for evaporative cooling, and that'll usually lower it by about 8 degrees, both in my store and in my fish rooms and garage fish room if I've had it. Let's see here. Is there a good video on making an Amazon theme aquarium? Uh, I'm just gonna say no, because the video would go like this. So you want to make a biotope Amazon aquarium. All right, here's a list of fish you'll never be able to find. And here's the list of plants that grow natively where they come from. Wait, that list is blank. Oh, yeah, that's true. Because it's going to be like, yeah, you need a tree, you need that ground fern, you need. And so it's. So a good video? Probably not. Are there lots of videos that say, hey, put an Amazon sword with another fish from the Amazon? Sure. Do they even come from the same part of the river? Probably not. But there are some books and some resources, and you can get close. I think maybe you're better off going, ooh, I'll make a black water setup. That's a little easier to achieve, and it'll look good, and it'll give you the feel good of like, hey, this is better. But when it comes to like, I want to replicate an actual slice of nature, it becomes pretty difficult to do it well. So, um, I watch a lot of people try, and the people that are truly successful, they uh, they pull it off. And usually, I'm like, that aquarium looks terrible because it's just really dark and lots of mulm and leaf litter debris. And if you look at, well, okay, so maybe part of your research would be watch all the videos when we're in Peru. You'll see that when we're crawling out to catch the fish, it's 20 feet of solid mud. You know what's not there? Plants. Like that's where most of these Amazon fish are coming from, is the Amazon River. You start getting into the tributaries, and sometimes you'll get tree branches and a little bit of plant actually growing in the water. But where a good looking fish has the cross section with aquarium plants, it's going to be few and far between. So, the easiest way, like, oh yeah, I want to keep a biotope, go grab an Amazonian fish, get a layer of like mud in the bottom of your aquarium of mulm, and make sure the water's brown, and like you nailed it. And if you really want to make it authentic, put a few like Coca-Cola bottles and other garbage in there, just because that's what you actually are seeing when you're trekking through the jungle. Because the water floods so high, it carries garbage into the forest and then it recedes again. When we go and you're collecting fish, you're going into where it's receded so that way they don't just swim away. And unfortunately, that's what it is. Like my favorite biotope that I've ever seen to this day is still, it was a like a British biotope, so the UK, and it had a brick and like a, yeah, it was just bricks and native plants because that's what the scape was. I just thought it was, I really enjoyed it because I was like, that's actually how that is, and not this is visually pleasing. Most biotope or most things in the wild are not visually pleasing. So out of all the places I've gone, there might be like, ooh, if you put the camera right here, that looks amazing. You turn it 3 feet to the left, and it's the worst algae you've ever seen. And so a lot of times people don't realize when we're getting this rad footage, we have to wait till a certain point in the day. Like, okay, the sun needs to come in over these trees. It'll light this section up. Whereas the one that's in the light all the time, covered in algae. So then that looks terrible. And so you might only get like, I got 20 minutes I can film here. And if you walk too much, you ruin the shot because all the mulm was going to go. So there's a lot that goes into getting that perfect, like, wow, that's amazing. Um, so yeah, that's why I don't strive for that part. I just go for healthy fish, what is visually pleasing, all of those things. That's what I personally strive for. And not so much can I exactly recreate where I saw this fish. Yeah, Johnny says, I can confirm it's accurate in the UK, plus some rubbish. Yeah, I mean, that's just, a lot of, like in Peru, the Amazon, second world country, waste kind of goes outside in the streets, and then eventually it floods, and that just ends up in the river. And then that, it's really weird just to see like random stuff. You're in like the most, like, oh my God, it's the blue morpho butterfly and this crazy thing. and that's 12 million ants that are about to kill me, and look at that crazy thing. And then you're like, Coca-Cola bottle, water bottle, I don't know, some kind of food wrapper. It's weird because you just in your mind before you go, you're going like, this is gonna be the craziest thing. It's gonna look pristine, and then you go like, oh, and that's kind of like the next level up. I feel like once you start doing a little bit of that, is like, ooh, yeah, I want to visit places where humans haven't been, because then you get a chance to kind of see truly pristine stuff. And we got to see a little more of that when we went high up, like into the cloud forest. There was still, humans have been there, but was less infiltration of that kind of stuff because it goes downhill and not so much uphill. Let's see. Can you do more content on ocean aquariums, deep substrate beds, and CO2 methods? I'm not sure there's a lot more to mine out of that. And what I mean by that is like, can I go back? Sure. Can we rehash what we've already said? Definitely can. But like Zenzo on his channel, he's been back, so you could watch that as well. And then also, I think it glorifies an aspect of keeping that I think is fascinating, but I'm not sure it makes sense to the average person. And those deep sand beds and stuff, they can do some magical stuff, and I like it. But I think everybody should try something like that. But it's not, I don't think it's the best way to start an aquarium if you've never kept an aquarium before. I think a nice, normal planted tank gives you your best odds of experiencing a bunch of things, because you don't know which fish are going to dig, you don't know about this. And when you start doing a hobby contrarian to everybody else, like, so imagine you want to become a baker like my wife, right? And you're going, I'm going to take up the hobby of baking. I want to make cookies and croissants and cakes and all that kind of stuff. And then you add a twist and you go, I will only do it with wood-fired ovens. It's not that you can't be successful, and it's not that you couldn't make some really cool stuff and pull off some stuff that other people can't. It's that when you run into a problem, you're like, this didn't come out correctly. And you ask for like advice. People aren't going to give you advice because they haven't done the wood-fired grill, oven, or know that you were even using one. Like, so if you're saying, every time I cook my pizza, I burn it. First thing people are going to say is like, here's my trick. My trick is I run it 25 degrees lower than what the box says that you're pulling out of your freezer. Meanwhile, the person's actually talking about, no, I had a pizza oven built in my backyard, and what happens is I get the right temperature, but then mid-cook, it actually gets too hot, right? That's an entirely different set of problems. And I think that's kind of what happens with those DIY CO2 methods and the deep sand bed. Both practical, both useful, but I would wager that if you were new in the hobby today, you can have an awesome hobby for the rest of your life and never even dabble in CO2, right? You can do the same thing with a deep sand bed. And I like to play with stuff, and so I encourage you guys, try it out and find what you like. That's really what matters. Like, I know I've got a undergravel filter coming. Mark my words. Wait till I set my undergravel filter tanks up, give it like 6 months, and then all of a sudden people are going to ask about undergravel filters more often. The aquariums in my care for the last 20 years straight. That's why I want to try something different. I don't know if I've tried this part yet. And so I'm interested to see. And why, Corey? I want to, as nerdy as it sounds, the whole reason I'm doing undergravel filter, I want to see what is the water flow pattern compared to a sponge filter. Because while testing some iron test strips that so far I've not been able to get work well, right? I was wondering, like, when I dose the easy iron, how long does it take for it to fully mix in the water column with a sponge filter? I wonder how long it would take with two. I wonder if it'd be better if I had an undergravel versus canister versus this. And I was thinking I could use ICX or methylene blue to measure the pattern then water change a bunch, tried again next week. And so I ordered underground filter. But that's the level of nerdy I am, because I don't know why. My brain is broken in that way of like, it needs to know. Does anyone know if Easy Green expires over time? I think officially we have to say 2 years. Unofficially, I don't think I've ever met any Easy Green that's expired. We have some with the manufacturer from the first ones we ever did, and we take samples, and they're still good. So, unofficially, we're at least at 5 years. Officially, 2 years. Yeah, please do a video on the water flow differences. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I get around to making the video, because sometimes you're like, oh, it's 2% different. But if there's big discoveries, I share them. And or if it just seems like it'll be an interesting video, I'll also share it. But, you know, a lot of times I just do tests and I'm like, I don't know, I haven't really learned anything, actually. Weird. All right. Am I familiar with reverse respiration? I am not. Any interested in making a blog post for us DIYers on building aquarium racks with examples and measurements for common sizes? Not really. It's not that I don't want to help you. So it's not that. It's that when we do that kind of stuff, we become the internet source for, do you think my floor could handle this fish room I want to build in my 3rd-story apartment? And all the variations of that. Or do you think I know you said to use 2x4 here. Do you think I could actually use a 2x3? Or do you think I could actually get away with 1/2-inch ply instead of 3/4 here? And we end up just telling people like, I don't know. Because 1, we're not structural engineers. And 2, we don't know your building. We don't know your building skill. We don't know this. And then as we keep building customer service, we want to help you guys buy our products, get refunds, do all those things, steer you to the right video, try and help you on a question here or there. Like, I would actually love it if there was a way that, like, every time you order, you're limited, like, as many customer service, like, I'd like to complain, I need a refund, I want to know where my package is, like, anything that relates to you spending money, but then, like, have it be almost limited where it's like, and then you could have one, like, how many pea puffers can fit in my Diet Coke, right? And then we'll answer that. But a lot of customer service, when we look at it, honestly, is like 40% of it, the people will never buy from us ever. And so there's people that are like, wow, this person's asked us 112 questions, never made a purchase. We keep helping, right? But we would, we don't want to create more inlets. We've seen that before. Like, oh yeah, write a blog article about like beta sororities. Oh my gosh, what have we done? This was not anticipated. So, we showed you how to build a couple of racks out of cinder blocks and wood, but unfortunately, as a company, it's the same reason why you don't see Fluval and other companies doing it is then people are like, well, what do you think about in this country? I can only get this. What do you think about? What do you think about? And we do a lot of, yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. I haven't done that. Get on the forum for builds? Yeah, that's a good point. The forum has definitely lots of people building. Yeah, I would say that's a great resource, actually. Will we be carrying more varieties of Anubias again? When we can get farms that can keep up with our sales quantity, yes. But we've pared down to just, we're hoping it allows the farms to streamline their approach. And yeah, yeah. Let's see here. Can I tell us what the new features are on the new Aquariumcoop light? Can I? Yes. Should I? So if I tell you this is going to kill the sales on the 2-footers we have. Which is kind of okay because I'm installing them in the expansion. I wish I had it with me. The main thing, maybe I'll show it next Wednesday. The main upgrade, I think there's 2 upgrades. There's upgrade to packaging. Might be just packaging. Well, there may only be 1 upgrade to the actual unit, and then 1 to packaging. But the 1 to the unit would be that the remote control is getting an upgrade. It will now display a number to correspond with the setting. So I felt there was an optimization. So instead of you having to say 2 clicks from the top, you could say 60%. Not bad, right? So it's a very minor thing, but I thought it was better. So we're going to do it. And those should be here, I think, a couple weeks, basically. A couple weeks. And so we've got the 2-footers still in stock currently. But any ones we don't sell, we're going to use at the retail store to actually build. You know, because it doesn't, like on my tanks, I just set them once and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it 2 clicks down. And that's it. Right now it'll be 2 clicks down, but it'll say, hey, 60%. So let's see here. I miss off the cuff videos that you and Ryo and Hobby do. Most fish YouTubers seem to focus on making every aspect perfect for filming, and it gets a little stale. Anyone suggest other fish YouTubers? I don't really watch many anymore. Most people, I honestly think most people in the YouTube hobby are burned out at making videos, just from what I talk to. And it's been that way for many years. I think where you're going to get that rawness is you're going to get it in the Facebook groups, you're going to get it on the forums, and you're going to get it on much smaller YouTubers. But you got to find the ones that aren't trying to become bigger YouTubers. Because on an average, they're going to try to copy. I don't want to say that. That's not what I'm trying to say. There are paths to success on YouTube, right? You basically, like, I can do path 1, 2, or 3. Or you can do what makes you happy and make these videos. You need to find people doing that. But the reality is most people will be going, hey, I'm going to take one of these paths to gain income. And the path of just making videos that you like a video of me making a pond of brine shrimp outside, that is something I enjoy, but won't make us any money. So I put that on the forums. And so that kind of video style making is going to be harder to find naturally just because it's not profitable. And usually you won't see very many videos from that type of person because they might have another full-time job. They might have a great career that allows them to build an amazing fish room. I know of one that I like, actually. I only know he's coming to visit. So we'll probably do a video. He's coming to visit me in June from Singapore. And, God, what's his? Let me find it. I've shared him a couple of times. He focuses only on shrimp, but he's got 2 amazing shrimp rooms, and I want to go visit him. But let me find the video real quick. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, Shrimp Sanctuary, which I realize is only shrimp, but I'm going to share. For some reason I spelled shrimp sauna. That's not. But he's only got like 2,000 subscribers. He's got a good job. I met him at Inner Zoo where he had flown out to hang out with the shrimp people because he enjoys shrimp. And so the videos he was making is purely about his passion and some of the rarest shrimp breeds and that kind of stuff. And it's the element that I'm trying to convey is that he is not making these videos to become a YouTuber and make an income from it. He is purely documenting and doing what he wants to do. So like he released a video 14 hours ago, shrimp force molting under atmospheric pressure and ammonia. Like that is super nerdy, and YouTube is never going to pick that up. But it's kind of awesome. So that's why I'm more tempted to be like, ooh, I should watch this video because I don't know this stuff already. So I'm going to share this in the chat for you guys. So that would be one. There's probably honestly 50 other ones that I either don't know or have forgotten about. So there's lots of cool channels out there, and I do enjoy. So like I know that Greg Sage is going to make some more videos. I actually just sent him some stuff to help with that. So like his content, but in general, for the real rawness of it, look for the people that aren't monetized, or if they are, like Chris Lukup. Great example. Chris Lukup, in my opinion, is the poster child of this, and I'm going to link his channel because I have access to his channel, so I can tell you guys what he made. This is going to be great. So Chris Lukup, in my opinion, has some of the best content that's ever been made ever. From the footage, from the knowledge, from all of that. And so even though I consider him to be an aquatic wizard, just like Oliver Knott and Gary Lang and so many, right? Let's see how much money he made. Is this going to get me into trouble? Let me think. Not trouble, but I'm switching accounts. Is that gonna like stop? It shouldn't stop live streaming. If it does, well, that's where we end today. But let's see here. Let me click on this, and we'll look at money made. Does he even get to make money yet? He does. He makes no money because he's yet to put I don't think he's put any. Yeah, he hasn't set up his account yet. But same thing, he's been doing it on Instagram and other stuff for so long, and on YouTube, that, yeah, I think his channel is the poster child for it, honestly. He's one of the few people, that's why I like working with him, that he's a true artist and does not care about money. He likes working with me because I do care about money, but I also really care about the hobby. And so I can help sell things to fund the trip or to do whatever, and I still, yeah, I understand the relationship between the two, and he doesn't have to work with like a company to pull it off. I am interested to see what Matt Gray's channel turns out to be. I will admit that his hype train has been building, and I want to say it's either like the 11th or the 8th or something when the first video drops, and it's either going to be mind-blowing awesome, or I'm going to be like, oof, that was a letdown. So the hype train's working. I just don't know. Yeah. Let's see here. Confused on which fish to put first in my 54 liters. So 54 liters is going to be like 12, 13 gallons. I would obviously say pick some fish that make sense, that what I mean by make sense that you like. And then from there, just add a few. You know, sometimes a shopkeeper should stop you like, don't put a discus in there. You've never kept fish before. But pick a tetra or a rasbora or a danio and get a group of like 6. Yeah, start there. That's where I would start. His first video is the 7th. So yes. Let's see here. Oh, by the way, thank you to everybody's gifted memberships. Sarah Woodring and Eric Wyrock, and a couple other people did too, and I just missed them. So my apologies for that, but thank you. How would you, wait. Hey, Corey, what do you think about using an old hot tub for an outdoor pond? I'm like the raccoons that don't have trouble getting in, but rather trouble getting out. So I'd like to repurpose. Yeah, most things, if it holds water, you can probably do some fish in there some way. Building a screen over it or something like that could help you as well. Are there any events in Europe you're planning on visiting? Nothing I've got planned at the moment, but usually what happens, I travel to Europe and then I go, ooh, what events? And then I go, do I want to come back? Like I'm tempted to come back for Vivarium, but at the same time, yeah, I don't know. Like I'm trying to focus more on stuff at home and not travel as much, which I realize I'm like, hey, you just said you're going here, here, and here. That's still a light schedule. Normally it would be those plus all the aquashellas, plus there's other events. So I'm trying. I want to experience some more stuff fish related. So potentially, but I've done shows and I'm like, I was there last year. But if there was an invite to something really fun, maybe during the week outside of that, I'd be more likely to go. Let's see here. Corey mentioned a post that I made on the Facebook group. There's some more information that I hadn't gotten before. Well, hopefully that's a good thing. You're saying that you've gotten some more insights, maybe? Hope so. Am I doing Aquashella Dallas here? No. To the best of my knowledge, I'm not doing any of the Aquashellas. I think Zenzo is speaking at Aquashella Dallas. Is it in Dallas? Yeah, it's in Dallas. And, but not for any other reason other than trying to spend more time with my grandma, my family, that kind of stuff. And, you know, that's really it. I want to make sure I don't want to look back and go, ooh, you know, I could have spent some more time with family, but I just traveled the world for 5 years and missed it all. So I'm really focusing on balance in my life, which even today I made a move with my email. I installed an app called Boomerang and set it to only let me see my email at basically 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and not on the weekends. So that way I can get stuff done. Because what happens is I see an email and I can't ignore it. Like maybe there's an HR issue, maybe there's a product issue, maybe, you know, who knows what it is, but instantly I have to go, must solve problem, or at least, you know, and so it starts affecting sleep and all those things. And so I'm hopeful that steps in that direction will help me do more things like videos and travel and family and that. Bring grandma to the Keystone Clash. Not happening. I know we're sending items to the Keystone Clash, though. Stuff to give away. So just because we're not there, we're still supporting some events and stuff. So it's not... I do want to be clear. It's not like a lack of support. It's not that we don't love shows and that kind of stuff. It's not always the right time. And so I want to make sure that, you know, I'm with family. That's the best way I can say. I have a horrible channel with 500 subscribers. Who else do I like? I like, I'm trying to think of other channels that I'll snoop on from time to time. Let me see if I can find some more. There was a shrimp person. It was Shrimp and Guppies that he never got that high up, but I liked his content. Let me see if I can find. Let me go to like my Corey McElroy one, where see if I have anybody still there. So old subscriptions. Let's see. Oh my gosh, Aquatop is making videos now. What? So I gotta see if those are hilarious or not. Let's see. I've got Mark Shelley Aquatics on here. Do I have any old ones? Like people that I don't normally watch? Who haven't I watched in a long time? This is good content, by the way. I think I don't have many. They don't. The problem is some of these people only make a video. Like who did I really enjoy? I really enjoyed. Do they still make videos anymore? What was his name? I kept Discus. What was his name? Scuba Steve. Does he still make any videos? Scuba Steve. When's the last time he made a video? I really like that guy. That guy was down to earth. 2 years ago. Dang it. But he's made hundreds of videos. But I really liked Scuba Steve. So that'd be an example of someone who was never trying to do it to make it a career, just shared information they knew to be true about the fish they liked. And they weren't always, you know, not everyone always agrees with that kind of stuff, but I can appreciate someone who is trying to pass along the knowledge that they've learned about their thing. And so I didn't always see eye to eye on everything, but there was a lot of stuff where I'm like, yep, I really agree with what he's talking about. I've ever seen Boss Aquatics video? Yeah, I have. Local channels are the future? Might be. That I could believe that. It would make sense that some locality would play into things. It definitely already does. Like Ryo and Tabi, if you guys don't know him, which another person I really want to travel Japan and Singapore with, like he unfortunately, I think, doesn't get the views that his content should be getting. In my opinion, how do I say this? Because I'm always afraid when I try to compliment one person, it will be derogatory to the other person. So that's not what I'm trying to do here. But in my opinion, Ryo and Tabi should be on top of the world like Keeping Fish Simple is. I think he's got a store. He's collaborating with a lot of people. His videos are good. He's working with readers, all that. Ryo and Tabi gives a look that is hard for people in the United States and Canada and basically North America to get access to, and he brings that, and he's down to earth. I really like him, and so let me share that link. Keeping Fish Simple, I like too. The problem is, if I don't say everybody, then oh, you don't like this person? Like, there's too many to list. So just know that, let's see, someone else, what we were just talking about. We were talking about another, who else did I like? I used to like ADU Aquascaping quite a bit, which he hasn't posted in forever. Steve Poland hasn't posted in forever. Someone said Simply Bettas. I agree. I love, well, it's weird. I love her presentation style, but I don't get sucked into the videos. I don't know why. Love hanging out with him in person, all of that. It's kind of like Aqua Pros. Like, I love hanging out. I love that guy being at my house. Love hanging out with that guy. Watching his videos, though, I'm just like, maybe it's because I talk to him every week through messages. Like, what are you working on? And I already know, so maybe I'm not watching it that way. But yeah, and also, I got to be in the right mood. I got to be in, the problem is for me, anytime that I would want to watch a video, I'm like, I should turn the video camera on and be making a video. So, all right. I think Keeping Fish Simple jacked your style. Good. I hope he does. Just like I hope you breed fish and make $1 million. I hope you open up a fish store and you're successful. There is so much room in the world. If it brings you happiness, do it. Right? Like, that was my goal. My original goal when I got onto YouTube, way before I had my store, was share how to build a fish room, because I couldn't find good articles, forum posts, and videos on how to do it. So, like, I know there's a bunch of creators that get burned, like, this person's copying. I did it first. That thing's a thing. Doesn't matter. Like, everybody is copying somebody. Like, before YouTube existed, it's National Geographic and other crap. This Old House. Like, everything's been done. It's a concept of 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 a concept. Spin it a little bit differently. Plug in different people. Some people are more animated. Some people are more low-key. Some people are a different time slot, different language, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. If people are enjoying it, that's what matters. Like, there are creators I really don't like. I really don't like catch 'em all fishing, like that style of video. But at the same time, I kind of go, do I think it's wrong? I do. Are there people enjoying it? Yes. Do I enjoy it? No. Do I wish it didn't exist? Yes, but it does, and hopefully, I try to hope for the best, and like, maybe someone will get into the hobby, then they'll become a real hobbyist. ADU Aquascaping came back 3 weeks ago. Is he? My boy is back. Got a video with 424 views. All right. I just like the style of his videos. They were always laid back and I could listen to it while I worked. I hit that subscribe button again. Getting it done. Have I read The Alchemist? I haven't. You're definitely following your life's legend. I don't know what that means, but I'm hoping I read some more books. I have failed pretty hard on reading a lot more books. I've read like half of one so far this year. We're 4 months in. Not good. Not good. I feel like Dan's Fish is another super underrated YouTuber in the fish space. I don't know that they're underrated. I feel like Dan's probably a good guy. I've never really hung out with the dude. He's selling some stuff. Seems stand up. That's true. But as far as I've watched a few of the videos. Like he's got some crazy filtration setups and some other stuff he's done. But for the average video, I don't think I've gotten sucked in. And just because I don't get sucked in doesn't mean they're not, like, creators. There's billions of creators on YouTube. And I guess what? I don't watch billions of them. But they're good. Like, there's plenty of stuff that's on trending every day that I've never even heard of this person. I don't know. So I have so little time to consume extra stuff that I'm actually a bad gauge of this. There's probably people in the chat that are like, hey, I got 8 hours a day to watch fish YouTube because of my job. This is who I like. Makes sense. I was really inspired by our tour you did on Goliad Farms. I'm in San Antonio area, and I've definitely shared that video with other hobbyists. Great tour of a local business. Yeah, Charles Clapsaddle, great dude. He just put out a video recently. 2 days ago, yeah, on the Sky Blue Dragon Peacock. Yeah, is his channel blowing up yet? 15.9K? Good. Good. I just like him and his wife and his farm and the way he does stuff. But I had a fish crush on Charles for a long time when he would speak at the ALA convention, the American Library Association conventions and stuff. So it was really fun when I got to visit his farm after attending talks and daydreaming. And if you watch the video that I did, it's over an hour long. I'm going to link it in the chat. And you'll see all the totes between barrels and Rubbermaid totes. He was my inspiration of like, I think I can do that inside my garage. So he was definitely some of the inspiration for the urban fish farm type vibe. One would say, you're just copying his style. And I would say, you're right. That guy did something awesome and I wanted to do it too. So I did. And then I was like, well, that's a lot of work and I got to do a lot of other stuff. So then I got rid of it after like a year and a half, right? We scaled back down, but I got to experience it. And I did, way back before I was really on YouTube, I bought blue barrels from a bakery and they got like icing or something in them. And I tried to do his barrel system in my garage. Didn't go so well. What I learned is like, you really got to have a lot of fish and a lot of filtration going because you drop that food in, you have no idea. You can't see to the bottom of it to see if it got eaten. So, I learned a lot. And I think I just think everybody in as many facets as we can focus on the positive and not the negative. I feel like it's real easy to fall into the negativity trap of like, hey, that's not. And it's actually really hard just to be like, hey, good job. Glad you're enjoying it. Me too. See the positive sides of things. So I've been on YouTube for 10 years now. I'm going to call it try and invent a style. But everything's been done. So like we did, the series like Ocean Aquarium, we interviewed Justin and we did it with Kang Lee and Twin City Guppies. And that's a style that I like, I'm going to say invented in the fish style. Like, because I was like, how do we highlight these amazing stores and tell their story. Like, this is awesome. But that gets done all the time with documentaries and other stuff. So it's not like a new concept, but the concept for us was, how could we do it on this shoestring budget and bring light to this? And we were able to do it. One had lots of success, one didn't have success. And now that Jimmy works at Fritz, you can see that style going on at Fritz. And they did a good video and highlighted a good fish store owner. And, you can take two paths. Hey, we did that. You can't do that. Or you can take the path of, awesome, that store just got more recognition. Hopefully they get more customers. Hopefully the hobby grows. Hopefully. And that's the path I take. I go, I hope the next one they do hits 20 billion people. That'd be great. Recently got some IFGA guppies. Nice. From a small auction. Wait, small? That word wasn't there. From a fish auction. They have some white blotches on the body. I don't know if this is a pattern or a disease. Any experience with a blotchy white body guppy with a black tail? So are they just like the half black whites? Maybe I would, if it was me, I'd post it on the Facebook group, ask people like, hey, does this look like maybe fungal, or does it just look like, and what you'll do is out of 43,000 people, the 7 crusty guppy nerds will come out of the woodworks going, no, actually, you can see that that's from Stan Schubel's line. I haven't seen that in a while, actually, but no, that's the way that one's supposed to be. Or they'll be like, yep, you got to get some salt in there, bro. All right. Whatever happened to... Oh, wait, does anyone know what happened to Mark's Aquatics? Does he not make videos anymore? He was in the UK, right? Mark's Aquatics? Or maybe he was like Ireland or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. I do wish I was more plugged in with some of the other fish YouTubers and stuff. I gotten so busy that I'm just not in tune. Fish keeping's the lifestyle? Kind of is, honestly. Like, Dean, if there's a style I'm going to copy, it's Dean's style. Dean's style is, that dude could be, if he had to drive from New York back to Seattle and his car was broken down and he had 3 flat tires, he'd still pull over going, I haven't been to that fish store yet. You want to go? Like, he's always down to check out a fish store. He could have the flu, I bet, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. So that's, like that kind of passion. I think there's something to that, where he's been doing fish 40 plus years, still that much passion. There's something to that. Yeah, a name like McElroy could be your neighbor in Ireland. That's right. An Aquarium Co-op video touring all the retail partner stores would be interesting. Yeah, there's some talk. It's really hard to put together. Like, we talked about trying to do that with Fritz, where we visit like just a ton of stores and film it, making it meaningful. Then we talked about like maybe we just visit certain ones and then some are going to feel left out. We've done, like, Zenzo did a video on one. I've done them on some. And it's a hard thing to go, do we just do a ton? A lot of things are good in moderation, right? Brownies are amazing until you've eaten a tray of brownies for 22 days in a row. And then you go, okay, I would do anything for something else. And then a month later, you're like, I would kill you for some brownies. So, it's trying to fit it in, but that would be my goal. If I start traveling again some more locally, like, not locally, but like if I did Aquashella Dallas, I'd be like, hey, how many stores do we have in Texas? Do I think this one's got stuff to highlight? Because what I don't want to have happen is like, we're an RPP store, you need to do a video for us. And like, okay, what's the angle we haven't shown people before? Like, it still needs to be interesting and like, what are you doing different, or what's your story that's different? And because it's not the same story when you're like, well, I'm 30 and I got money, I opened a store. Okay, what's interesting about that? I'm in Texas. Okay, okay, but what's interesting about it? And so a lot of work actually goes into trying to research, like a Twin City Guppies or an Ocean Aquarium, and going, is this story going to be able to be told, and are people going to enjoy it? Because it doesn't do any good when we go, okay, we spent $6,000, we made this video, 4,000 people watched it. Like, that didn't help them very much, and it's not helping us. So we got to make sure that, that's actually worse, by the way. If you make a video that doesn't do well, that like makes them feel bad. We also did a video. So like, for instance, we did a video with Bad Fish Aquatics in Florida. And at Bad Fish, I could not have been more sick that day. After the whole weekend, my body was like, I had a fever and I felt terrible. And we were sneaking it in before we got on the plane to fly home. And so when you watch that video that we did, I'm basically not in it. I'm just like trying not to die. So it was mostly Zenzo and is it Alex? Yeah, it's Alex. Yeah, here's her channel. I think this is her channel. Yeah. So this is a store owner. Her channel is Alexa Badfish, I think. And so we actually did that video before I think she might have been the first or the second. She was the second RPP store after Twin City Guppies. But, so sometimes you book it all. You got all the hotels, the flights, the people, all of those things. And then you just get sick or something else happens where you're just like, oh, it's not, I wish it was just input money, output views. That'd be great. But yeah. Oh, there's something. Mark posted that he had to shut down due to electricity prices in the UK. Ooh, that's brutal. That is brutal. Here's my hope. My hope is that was the plausible public announcement, right? So what I mean by that is you tell the public, hey, prices went up a ton, which they probably did. But, maybe he needed a break or something like that. I hope that it's something like that. Because if let's say you're loving it. I love doing the videos. I love doing all this. And then if you actually had to shut down due to the electricity price, like that's rough. But a lot of times, what people don't see in the YouTube world is what's going on behind the scene. Oh, grandma's getting dementia. Oh, that YouTuber, there's YouTubers that they get illnesses, they get cancers, they get, maybe kids are having a problem, maybe their pets are having a problem, maybe they lost their job or their not coworker, but their spouse did. There's all that normal life stuff that we all do, and most customers or fans, you watch us to get away from your own things. You come to learn. But it's the escape, right? Like, why do you get an aquarium? It's like, well, I'm so into nature because then I don't have to worry about business problems and all, like what else? Like, oh, a tree almost broke my house and, that kind of stuff. And so you escape into nature. And then, as a creator, you're doing that for work. But there's still, you guys know a ton about my aquariums, my business and everything. But there's still like probably a lot. I don't even know what you don't know about me yet, but there's probably a lot you don't even know. And there's obviously some stuff you keep, hidden away or whatever. Like, I'm not going to be like, show up to my grandma's house, party at grandma's. But, there's always stuff going on behind the scenes. And, there's things like I remember one of the ones that I kind of felt the hardest, I would say, was Jenny from Solid Gold. For a long time, she was at like 400 and some thousand subscribers, still had a part-time job at Starbucks. Like, so still had to go to work, had to get health insurance, still had to make videos, like has a blossoming career on YouTube, still had the daily grind, kind of like when I was, had the shop and doing YouTube. And then after all that, just kind of, mental health / stalkers and people being not great, didn't work out, right? And I think she also, I think she even posted about it, like she went through a divorce and other things, and so that's the thing. I hope that for Mark's sake, it's like, just a break, and he's coming back and doing some other stuff, and it's not like he was actually just forced to, because that sucks. So, are you all still doing the 1-year membership coins? We are indeed. So I have the 1 membership right here. I got the 2. Here's the 2-year. What's this one? Here's the 3-year. Bing. And the 1-year. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Where's the 4? Right, nope. That's my wild card. There's this one. So there's the one you can buy. That's just the Aquariumcoop Enjoy Nature Daily coin. Then you've got, oh no, you meet me in the wild coin. Got that. What are these? Oh, these are just prototypes when we were considering making coins. Yeah, I don't know where, maybe it's downstairs. Maybe I'm not at 4 years yet. Maybe that's why I don't have one. It could be a thing. All right, couple more, and I got to get out of here. It's 6:07. Yeah. Our electric bill is $300 a month. I'm sure at least half the cost is our tanks. So I was having power bills that were quite high. I installed a thing called Sense, SENSE, to monitor our power, and I was able, so that's one of the reasons why I turned my heating and everything off during the day. The heat would be on, but it would keep it like 73 or 74, and then the sun would heat up that garage a lot more, and so it'd be warmer than I wanted it to on half the days. So I just turned that off. So now I'm tracking to save at least $100 a month on heating that building. So I definitely recommend people look at energy use. Our LED lights are very efficient, like a sponge filter with an air pump, very efficient. Linear air piston pump, very efficient. And just do, it. If you're only having one tank, it doesn't really matter. You can have something that, you can have a very inefficient tank. It won't really be that big of a drain on resource. But you start running 4, 5, 6, 7 tanks, and that light that's using 100 watts, it could have been using 30 watts, starts to take its toll. And filters especially. Like when you see, I make fun of the people, but when you see someone with 125 and they got 4 FX6s and it's 35 watts per, right? That's like a 150 watt heater running 24/7 every month. You could probably get away with one of those, honestly. Like from a filtration standpoint, bacteria, 1 is more than enough. So, scale it down, save yourself some money. Bondi 8, that's right, I love that shoe. I don't know who's asking, but Hoka Bondi 8s. Wore them today while I worked out. Wore them yesterday. I wear them in fact, just this last weekend, I went through all of my shoes. Everything went that wasn't a Hoka shoe. So I've got anti-slip Hokas for when I'm in the warehouse. I've got my first pair of Hokas that now a little dirty. They're kind of like, maybe working in the fish room / retail expansion shoe. I've got my workout Hokas and another brand new pair I'll probably break out for China. And then I've got some flip-flops that now that it's a little bit more sunny, I'm rocking as much as I can. And I've got a pair of like water boots. Everything else got to go because the Hokas made such a big difference. It made going to conventions and walking 25,000 steps in a day bearable for a guy that had his foot broken in 3 places. No longer hurty, and that's worth a lot. Don't care if I have, but I like those shoes, they look cool, or I like the, nope, not as good. All right, I thought there was one more. Oh wait, there it was. What is the Hoka shoe you recommend? I see. Skin, let's see. Do I plan to do more fish farm videos? Yes. Maybe some plant farm videos. If they fall into my lap, the plant farm, they get the same amount of views. If I film them and then I hit the delete button, that's the same amount of views as releasing them on YouTube, essentially. So if it falls in my lap, sure, I'll film some more. Otherwise, like farm tours, non-plant ones, yes, we've got at least one lined up while we're in China. So we'll be doing the farm or not farmers markets, the fish markets, filming that a ton because that's always fascinating to me. And then we've got at least one farm lined up. Could be good, could be terrible. Don't know. So at least that, and then hopefully I'll visit some more breeders and farms and that kind of stuff in Germany, or not Germany in particular, but Europe, because it's a 3-week trip. And so the goal is kind of a week with Oliver Knott, and kind of maybe we'll go to some of the tanks that he works on and stuff locally, that kind of stuff in Germany. And then maybe he'll come with us to Croatia and Albania, and there's some stuff out in the wild we want to do. And then there's some videos that Chris and I want to make, like maybe setting up some tanks and stuff at his house. And there's other places that I still have invites to that I want to. I think there's a fish store I really want to go to in Bavaria. So there's lots of stuff we still want to do. So definitely more to see and more to come. But it just gets into one of those, like, how many hours? We could do 5 hours, 5 hours. We could do that in a day. It's 10 hours, film for 5, 15 hours, grab a hotel. We can get that done in a day and a half. We'll do it. You guys ever consider doing mystery grab bags of plants online? Like $50 for a mystery bag? Yes. We used to do them when we were a young company. We had pick the size of tank, we'll send you plants. And that worked awesome for like 8 months. And then as we just got more and more popular, more and more people would be like, the plants you picked are not the ones I like. I know that it was a crazy good deal of like $30 for all these plants, but I wanted all Crypt Pink Flamingo. Like, oh yeah, we should have sent you 11 for the price of one, huh? And so with that, and it became a customer service nightmare. The few kind of ruined it, where, yeah, I ordered this combo, but could I actually just get these? It's like, well, if you wanted those, you would just order those. The goal with the mystery grab bags were, like now, if we were to do it now, we probably get somewhere between like 3,000 and 7,000 plants a week, depending on outages. And we'll order plants from several farms. So we might go, hey, from this farm, we need 300 Amazon swords, same for you and same for you. And on average, only 2 of the 3 farms will ship us Amazon swords. But every once in a while, all 3. So now we got 900 that week. That would be perfect to, like, hey, mix some of those into these mystery bags. And that happens with all the types of plants we have. Some could have way too many, some not enough. And so that could work. Now the problem we run into is everything gets a barcode and that kind of stuff. And so we would have to actually take plants and dedicate and turn them into a section of mystery plants. And then we could make it happen. And we have talked about it. But our response to that was, I still think it's better to just let people pick the plant. Now, that being said, if I was ordering plants all the time and I was in the warehouse, I could see it working if I ordered plants that we don't normally sell. Like, ooh, you got what? You got how many? There's only 29 of them? I'd love to mix that into the grab bags. But I know what'll come off the back of that is someone will post, like I just bought for myself. It was an expensive crypt. It was a crypt Nuri, I think. And I paid $40 for, it's basically $10 a leaf. Let's say I can get a deal on something like that. That gets posted to Facebook, and people are going, oh, I got this in my mystery bag. And now people are going to order mystery bags the next week or a day later and be angry when they don't get it, right? So you'd have people that are like, I got 3 Anubias, that's lame. You got this. Oh, if I had gotten that, I'd been happy. So it's hard to make a big group of people happy is really what it comes down to. And so we try to just, you pick the plants, we'll do what we can. And, there's lots of, what about scratch and dent plants? Like, it's not quite amazing, or it's like melting back really hard, but it just needs time. But anytime we tried stuff like that, then you get just like a brand new hobbyist that like, well, I didn't think it'd be that bad. And it's like, yeah, but it'll be fun. Well, no. And you're like, okay, so now I'm just eating it. And in those cases, we're literally better off composting the plant than we are sending it. Because let's say you order 2 plants from us, and we refund the plants and the shipping. Now we're out the shipping. We were literally better off throwing them in the compost pile than shipping them at all because we would have saved the $12. So we really, got to make sure people are happy. And it's just hard to do. So, yeah, by the way, everybody hit that like button and leave a comment after the fact and join the Facebook group and buy all of our stuff. What else should you do? Check out the advice center on the website. Aren't the prices also already shown as low as possible? Yeah, that too, for the most part. There are times, though, when there might be a sale from our vendor. If our vendors go like, we got 4 billion Amano, or not Amano, but Amazon swords, which that doesn't happen, but they might go, hey, this week save 15 cents each. And we could, it doesn't make sense to be like, let's update the website. People could save 18 cents. So, but for the most part, yes. I just don't want to, there, in my opinion, the current prices we have are the lowest price in which we can stay in business, provide a good product, provide the great customer service in case something goes wrong in shipping, have good qualified customer service reps, and still turn enough of a profit that I want to wake up and do this every day. And all the other employees too, right? So, like, that's people, there's other people that can do it cheaper. I've seen it, where it's like, oh, you don't put them in water, and oh, you'll sell them, you'll do these things. But then when there's a problem, we see it happen all the time. They don't take care of their customer, and no one's picking up the phone or answering the emails, or, so that kind of stuff. But, everyone's got a different value proposition, which that's just fancy words for, you might put value in great customer service and the knowledge we do on YouTube and the transparency and all of that. And there's people that don't at all. They're like, hey, I could save 11 cents if I order it from your competitor. You got me. You can. I don't have time to monitor it to, move stuff 11 cents. So, are you gonna go to the GSAS auction? So the Greater Seattle Aquarium Society, I have the world's best ability to schedule traveling every time there's a GSAS auction. So, like the last 5 years in a row, I'm always like, yeah, oh, I'm out of town. I'll be out of town for that one, so I can't go. I think Dean's going to be there, though. So, I was going to say harass him. Don't actually harass him, but, say hi. Yeah, they're lower if you sync up the Aquariumcoop membership. That's true also. But we don't really make less money. So even though you guys save money, the way we look at it is you pay $5 a month, we get that $5. Yeah, you get 5% off your plan. So if you spend $100, it's kind of a wash for all of us. You get the extra videos, right? So that's why we feel okay of like, it's not because you kick in money, then you get a discount. It's not like people are just strictly getting it cheaper than people that don't do it. So, I mean, it is cheaper, but if you were to total up like $105 worth of $105, you buy a few $100 worth of plans, sure, you're getting ahead. Yeah, even if Grab Bag came with 1 year membership and Pink Flamingo, people would be unhappy. People are still angry we give out stickers. There's people that complain like sweatpants. I came to this event, you're giving me free sweatpants. What am I going to do with these? And I literally just have to stand there and take it and be like, I don't know. Do you want them? They cost me a bunch of money. I'm sorry I'm offending you by giving you this thing. I'm always just shocked sometimes, and I just assume gotta be someone having a bad day, where it's like, I just gave you a shirt that costs us a lot of money to ship around and work to do and that, and you're a member and you're getting this, and like somehow I'm the bad guy, and they're like, well, is there gonna be a member dinner tonight? Like, not tonight. We got other obligations. Oh, well, I would have picked a different day. Like, I'm sorry. But for the most part, 99% of people, totally cool. And they're like, dope, I get this thing. Love it. Thank you so much. But yes, there's always that 1% of like, I don't know what you were asking for, but I clearly didn't deliver. My bad. Let's see here. Yeah, having worked in retail, entitlement is real. I gotta be honest, I got entitlement too. I think everybody does. You know, I think it's just, I think the biggest problem that needs to, like, there's expectations. If I book a first class seat on an airplane, I don't want to have to scrub off the barbecue or the ketchup stain on the tray. Stuff like that. Whereas if I'm in coach, I'm like, it's cheaper. Hey, that's what I get. So I think it's usually just misalignment of expectations, right? And some people, like me, $5 for a video and some other stuff, I'm like, sweet, that seems real cheap. There's other people that $5, that's a lot of money to them. And they're going, I only get this for my $5. So I think it's usually just misalignment is what entitlement is. Like, I feel like I'm entitled to more than I'm getting. Sometimes I feel that way of just like when you go to a high-end restaurant and you're like, oh my gosh, it's $120 a plate. And you're like, the food is this big? Like, what have we done? And like, you kind of just chalk it up to like, yeah, those fancy food places, like, yep, it's, got to get a meal after the meal, apparently. But, I think everybody runs into that. I try to run into it the least amount of possible where I just like, wait, am I being the pain in the butt here? I just need to cool my jets. A lot of times Katie's like, just let it go. And I'm like, you're right. But I still can get irritated. Food grade or beverage grade CO2? I don't think it matters for an aquarium. I think it's just some CO2 will work. I love the stickers. I love my Aquariumcoop sweatpants. Yeah. I really enjoy being a member even if I may make it to the store. Yeah, you're 2,752 miles away. That's doable. You can fly there. Maybe when airfares come back down. It's been crazy lately. Every time I go to buy tickets, I'm just like, oof, still crazy high. Yeah. I'm just trying not to get sick while flying. Not like I'm just trying not to beat down my immune system. Not that I like can't handle flying. It's just by the time you're like in Germany, Albania, Croatia, in freezing cold water, in hot water, skipping meals, living out of your suitcase, driving a ton, eating at the gas station, and then back on a flight and that kind of stuff. You can get your immune system pretty beat down. And so I try to fly first class as much as possible. And a lot of times it's like, if I can't go first class, I just won't go. Because when I get back, I usually have to work. Not usually, I have to work. And it costs too much if I've gotten sick to the point where I gotta go to the doctor and they can't figure out what's wrong with me. They're like, you've got some, like one time I got sick and I got a virus. Or like, you've gotten a foreign virus. I'm fairly confident that that's when I had COVID, but the world didn't know what COVID was at that point. But I couldn't stand for more than 30 seconds without fainting. And actually, my wife made me go to the doctor because I was feeling terrible, came back from the flight, still feeling terrible. Like 2 days later, I'm like, all right, I got to take a shower. Like, this is just getting out of control. So I fainted in the shower and I woke up on the floor. And that's where I was like, all right, got to crawl back to bed. And I crawled back to bed, and that's when I told my wife she made me go in, and then they did the test, and I guess there's a test where you're supposed to stand for, I don't know, 2 minutes or something. I don't know, whatever it was, but I only made it like 32 seconds before I literally passed back out, and, I felt like death, and fever was insane, and like, I'd never been so sick, and, yeah, so there's been a few times, that kind of stuff's happened. I think Corvus, Joel, and I have come back from Germany stupid sick before too. That lingered on for like months. But yeah. Internet says the reason gravel turns black is blackbeard algae, but I've not seen blackbeard algae in my tank. Diatom, sure. Is there a reason? Maybe mold, vacuuming doesn't clean it. my guess is that there's something either set, like if it's a if there's a non-coated bacteria, or not bacteria, rock, maybe bacteria settling. A lot of times bacteria like in substrate will turn black, just does. Um, or sometimes there's a coating on it that after getting X amount of light and that kind of stuff, it can just change color. But I would agree, if it's probably not blackbeard algae if you're not seeing blackbeard algae. It's probably something different. A lot of times bacteria can be a dark color. So let's see here. I had COVID before COVID was known, had the same symptoms, ended up in the ER, and they never figured out what was going on. Yeah, it's a scary time when you go to the doctor and they're like, they ran insane tests, and they're like, no idea. No idea. They're just like, foreign bug. And it's like, cool. Going home, I guess. And before a lot of these trips, I'll get full physicals, and sometimes certain countries will have different vaccines I got to get, that kind of stuff. And every time I do a big year traveling, I pretty much get like diver's insurance, which just covers traveler insurance in case I got to get like medevaced in a helicopter. Because when you're traveling abroad, your insurance in America won't translate to foreign countries. So I get that, and I go to a doctor, and sometimes like Peru, I got to get malaria pills and diarrhea pills and that kind of stuff. And so I try to, at least when I know I'm going to do a bunch of traveling, make sure, like, take all my blood, check all my hormone levels, check everything about me. And so far, it always comes back with lose some weight. Otherwise, you're very healthy in terms of blood pressure, all that kind of stuff. Nothing we can see, And so then I'm like, all right, I'm going back to the jungle, or going back to wherever I'm going. And because in my mind, at least, I don't want to get horribly sick in a country I can't speak the language. Like, I just feel like it's going to be a bummer trying to relay, like, what's wrong with me, even with translators and that kind of stuff. So I try to, I honestly, I try very hard, whether it's an event or I'm traveling. I put a lot of trying to eat right, trying to rest up, trying to get ready to do it, to give my body the best chance of shaking hands with 7,000 people where 10% of you are going to have germs on your hand and get me sick. And so it's stuff like that. Events, it's kind of one of the reasons I'm not doing as many, is like, it's 100% chance of getting sick every event, because there's just so much interaction with people that on a good day, just a cold. On a bad day, like, oh man, I got like the flu, I'm dying over here. So is there such a thing as white algae or fungus? Well, there's like food pellets kind of turn white as a fungus and rot, but white fungus could also be on like wood, like the lichen and that kind of stuff. Spiderwood does that a lot. So kind of, I would say. You'll miss out on getting the convention flu when you aren't going to events this year. That's right. Con crud happens every time. Every time. And it's just, yeah. So that's part of what makes the events such a big ordeal for me. It's like, okay, I got to go there. I got to do all this stuff. I got to get ready to go. When I get back, I got stuff that I'm behind on. Oh, and I'm sick. Great. Yeah, so I try to at least eliminate as many of the roadblocks to having a good time as I can. Try to, like, I'm proud that I can now confidently do pistol squats from a 20-inch box. Look up, if you don't know what a pistol squat is, look at what it is. I can't do them from the floor or anything, but, there's definitely some things where I'm like, I'm proud that I can do this. This will help me. Like, a pistol squat in itself doesn't help you in Peru, but the agility type stuff and training all the abductor and small muscles and stuff really does help. So, and it helps a lot in foreign places when you don't know. Like in China a lot, there'll just be like a hole in the road and you just sprain your ankle. So as much as you can do to prepare your body for just a beating helps you traveling everywhere. Or if we're, going in the water and doing things and, just trying to make sure your body's ready for anything you're going to throw at it. That's what I try and do. So, which I realize, should lose weight. definitely should. And I'm working on, I'm not so much working on just losing weight. I'm actually working on uh like my life, because between the trainer and other people and doctors and stuff, we're actually convinced it's stress and cortisol levels that are causing me not to lose weight, because I document everything I eat. People are looking at it and they're going, that's not a problem. And then it's like, and you're training hard, like the weight should just be melting off. And it's like, so then I had full panels done, all the hormones, like I've been to the doctor a billion times and like, thyroid's good, this is good, this is good. And it's cortisol and stress. So it's like, all right, gotta alleviate stress, which means I should just be working less. But in the back of my mind, it's like, when's that product launching? When's this? When's that? Like, oh no. So working towards it. Working towards it. That's, trying to slowly, and that's, for a long time, the way I was expressing that to you is I need to retire at 40. I turned 40 this month, by the way. And it wasn't so much that I wouldn't work ever. It's that I should not be working at the level I work at. Hair's turning gray, not good for my body. Stress levels some days are just insane between, this thing went wrong. We lost $20,000 over here, and someone's angry at HR all in the same day. Just like, oh, I'm paralyzed with, oh, I don't want to be alive today. I mean, I don't say that. That's just, some days are very difficult. And so if I can get to where I'm minimizing that, enjoying nature daily and focusing on the projects, like this week, I might not get to film. And the thing I want to do the most right now is I've got a project in the fish room I want to film. I really want to do that. But instead, I've got all these other, got to work at the retail store, got to do the warehouse thing, got to do a few other things. So, I want to just it's work is easy when I get to do what I want to do. Not so fun when it's like, can you review, like last week I had to pick, imagine the Office episode where you got to pick the new health plans, right? And so I have people help me, and then I got to make final decisions. But it's hard to deal with stress when it's big numbers. It's like this one example that it is only like minor. The minor thing was insurance premiums went up by 11%, and that might not be a ton to one person, but my insurance premiums for the company per year is $227,000. So the problem we were trying to diagnose was we have this great plan that lets you get massages and mental health care and lots of stuff, and dental and vision and all these things. But with the 11% increase, those people in the in the company that have kids and a spouse, we pay the first $1,000. So it covers adult 1, adult 2, and kid 1 like halfway. But it always covered adult 1, adult 2 in full. With the 11% increase, now it was going to cost the employees some money. It wasn't much. It was going to be like $22 or something. But now we thought, okay, we need to offer, they can choose to pay the $22 and keep the same policy they have, or we can choose a second policy, and as long as we get at least 3 of our employees to do it, then we can offer that one. And it's just one step below. And then we'd owe nothing again, right? Because we're not trying to have an employee who's doing a good job for us and be like, by the way, if you want to keep health insurance, it now costs you money. So, it's just stuff like that. You get tied up in like all of this. But to me, I'm going, what does $22 matter? But to someone that just got a house and a mortgage and, the funds are tight and maybe, their significant other got laid off and that kind of thing, $22 might be a lot of money. And so we want to just make sure that, I'm making, just like I make decisions for the fans, I'm making decisions for all my employees. And I want to make sure, like, did I do my due diligence? Do I think it's good to give them an opportunity here, as in they can make the choice? And so you got to go down the rabbit hole. We looked at health insurance from like 10 different companies, and we ran all the numbers, and we did everything we could do. And so that's That's just one thing. It's like, oh, that doesn't sound fun at all. That's not enjoying nature slash playing in your fish room. That's like business, not fun stuff. Like no one's like, sure, I'm excited to, go like file my LLC paperwork and this and oh, better refresh the reseller's permit and all of those things. Like lately, we've been opening up. Uh, we had to open up the two new hires. They were in two different states. I think one's in Texas and one's in I don't know Georgia or something. We have to open up different employee type benefit accounts in those states and that kind of stuff. There's always just something that seems so simple, like, yeah, I just want to pay you money to answer fish nerd questions, becomes like, oh, well, they have a whole different process here. We got to learn that. Oh, we got to do that here. So, haven't done my taxes yet this year. I get to do them twice every year. That's real fun. Because we're a corporation, our taxes are due March 15th. And then when we get those done, we get to do our personal taxes by April 15th. So, haven't got it back from my tax accountant yet. I mean, I guess it's like the 16th or 17th this year. So I got 12 more days before I gotta pay. All right. 37 minutes long. I'm answering this last question. How do you prevent anaerobic bacteria from forming in the easy? Does that mean in easy green? Well, if it's meant to be easy green, there shouldn't be easy green forming in easy green because we have a chemical we put in to be antifungal and antibacterial in it. So if that's happening, bring it to our attention. We'll investigate of like, ooh, if you're leaving it in direct sunlight and you're heating it up a bunch, I could see it. If a contaminant got in a ton for some reason, I could see it. But our formula should prevent that. Assuming we're talking about easy green, because it just says forming in the easy. How do you prevent anaerobic bacteria forming in the easy? I assume it's easy green. All right. I'm going to call it. I'm sure, well, hopefully, I know I don't have emails, so that's good. I'll have emails tomorrow morning, but I don't have any more emails tonight, so hopefully I can figure out what we're doing for dinner. Got enough daylight, maybe we'll walk the dogs so I can enjoy nature. I've been really birding out on the bird feeder and just listening to different chirps and trolling Randy, the VP, by sending him horrible fish pictures because him and Jimmy used to be really into taking good pictures of photos. My wife and I like to focus on taking the worst possible pictures, and sometimes I will make sure I get trees and a window and a person in front of me while I'm filming the bird. And then Zenzo kind of likes to do it too. And so I like to see how bad can I make a picture while still having the bird in the picture. And then going, look, I took a bird picture. So it's kind of like the same level of hilarity in that they'll be trying to eliminate all those things. And I'm trying to add all those awkward things in just to troll them. But that's what it's like working for me, Troll Fest. So, all right. We'll see you next Wednesday. I believe that's a true statement. That's probably true. I'll come up with a new topic or something. Maybe it'll just be Q&A. Who knows? Do us a favor. Buy all of our stuff. And if you don't buy all of our stuff, we'll be getting new stuff in a couple weeks. Then buy all of our stuff. Hit that like button on the way out. Watch whatever video we put out on Friday. It's probably a banger, I'm sure. I don't even know. I just film videos. I don't even know what time they come out anymore. Well, actually, I do. They come out 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Fridays. But I never know which video because sometimes I get swapped at the last minute. So, all right. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Oh, compliment people. I was a little lax. I only complimented like a couple people this week. I made sure to do it to someone today, and I will do it to someone tomorrow. Compliment someone, enjoy the hobby, learn a thing or two, share it with us next week, and enjoy. Bye-bye.